evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here and Jack Bennett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go! Donoso with a crafty maneuver up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Beresne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion. Well, good morning, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world anyway. It's tremendous to be back, folks. PSGL returning once more, and it's about time, is it not? We are now back racing here for the first time on F1 24 and bidding to crown yet another champion. We've only had 3 individual champions, most of the championships being awarded to one Jarno Opmeer, 5 in totality. After that, we've had Lucas Blakely with 1, and of course Barry Bromand with 1 alike. I'm afraid no Jack Kinnan alongside me. My name is, of course, George Morgan. Alongside me, though, this time, getting bumped up to the top tier is the one, the only. He's not TK Clips today. He's TK, my co-commentator. TK, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. Looking forward to sharing the broadcast with yourself. Of course, condolences out to Jack. We hope him a very speedy recovery for this afternoon.
Yeah, we certainly do. Unfortunately, he's off with a virus at the moment. We do wish Jack all the best, but hopefully he will be back here very soon indeed. But tonight, we have got a very special night because we're kicking things off with Bahrain. And this is a track that hasn't actually been the first round, I think, since all the way back in season 33, I believe, with Danny Beresne. In fact, no, season 31, with Barry Burremand taking a victory on that occasion. Jarno Opmeer, of course, 5-time champion, as I alluded to, hasn't won here since season 29, TK.
Wow. I mean, Bahrain is a wonderful track. It often will throw up the occasional curveball, and it certainly has proven that here in PSGL over the years as well.
It certainly has proven to be a very, very special circuit. Let's take a look at it. We've got, of course, plenty of DRS detection points to be worried about. 3 sectors as standard, 5.412 kilometers, 3.3 miles. DRS pretty much commences down the home straight, but for the opening lap, or should I say the first running of the DRS will be coming out of turn 3 through towards turn 4. You'll then make your way through towards sector 2, where you'll then meet the next DRS point coming out of turn 10. Very treacherous turn 10 as well, very stiff coming through that left-hander. Very easy to get it wrong over the curbs. And then the trip up through turn 11 sends you around the final sector, where you'll meet DRS again coming out of turn 15, heading down the long straight. And I think there's no better person to take us through this circuit than the one, the only 2-time F1 Sim Racing World Champion, Brendan Lee.
Kicking off the brand new PSGL season underneath the floodlights here in Bahrain. I'm going to be taking you for a hot lap guide on how we're looking to maximize every centimeter of this track here in F1 24 game. Sector 1 is all about the traction coming out of turn 1 and turn 2. Turn 3 is easily flat out, and we're heading up to turn 4. You get all the track on the entry, let the car rotate, and get all over the exit curve as well. Tickle the curb on the inside, just with the inside tyre to help rotate, flat out for the left hand as well. Pull the car hard to the left hand side of the track, let the car rotate through the hairpin. Bahrain is so critical to be composed in the middle of the apex to maximise traction on the exit of the corner, and this corner is no different. Stability on the braking zone, calmness in the braking zone is required to not lock up that front left tyre and shoot out of that exit traction zone up into the uphill left-hander here in 5th gear, letting the RPM rise as we're just touching the inside curve here, going into sector 3, down to 4th gear, kiss the curb on the inside, hard back on the power on the exit, and use up as much road as you have the confidence to do so. Heading up into the final apex of the lap and down into 4th gear. Look for a late apex, early back on the power, and this is how you tackle a hot lap here in Bahrain ahead of the race tonight.
He's absolutely spot on. That is exactly how you're supposed to do it, TK. And someone who we've known to take the helm in terms of race wins. Brendan Lee, of course, blast in the past. We look back at the very first season of F1 Sim Racing in its World Championship 2017. He became the very first champion. He then went back to back in 2018 with Mercedes. And on the topic of Mercedes, Jarno Opmeer departs Mercedes. One of the big talking points, he's in an Alpine this season. It caused quite the stir on social media.
It certainly did. Of course, when you take that driver that's been so successful with the constructor out of it, put him into a new domain, that really switches things up, not only from a crowd's perspective, but from the driver's mentality as well. You have to learn the car again. You've got to learn how it goes through the corners. And it'll be interesting to see how Jarno handles that.
Yeah, and obviously we're not 100% sure whether Alpine is going to necessarily be the destination for him. Just a quick update, guys. It looks like we're going to have a new lobby rebuild, I think, because this Van Pookie is the only driver left in it right now. We will, of course, keep you up to date as to when the session goes live. But talking about Jarno Opmeer, he is such a dynamic figure, someone who is so used to winning. And of course, I get the feeling that perhaps he saw his winning future away from Mercedes. There's been rumours, speculation around where he could go. Obviously, Ferrari currently the reigning teams champions. Red Bull with a champion driver in Freddie Rasmussen. Could we see him perhaps depart current position where he currently sits? Of course, he's already departed Mercedes. Could there be a future at the Scuderia? Could there be a future at Red Bull?
Well, I think that's the talking point amongst the paddock at the moment. Where is he going to go? And if you're a team principal at the moment, you're looking at that driver, looking at the success he's had with Mercedes and going, I don't care how much he costs, I want him racing for my team. Because Jarno will bring trophies back to whatever constructor he's racing for.
Does feel that way. And we also want to talk about Freddie Rasmussen as well, of course, taking the championship for the very first time in F1 Sim Racing. It looked like it was never actually going to come. He was knocking on the door, season in, season out. One of the longest reigning drivers to stay at one particular team, alongside the likes of Alvaro Carreton. But to go so often inside the top three, becoming a runner-up multi-times over, I think beyond 5 or 6 times in a row, he came second in the championship, only to now finally take it at this time of asking. It's got to be such a big moment for him. And to break that duct, how integral is that, TK, where it comes to then competing competitively in the future?
Well, I think a lot of it will come down to confidence. You've broken that initial barrier, you've overcome that first hurdle, and now it's pretty much smooth sailing for himself. If he can continue the way that he wants to go, I don't see why there's not multiple world championships in his future.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely more in his future, that's for sure. Of course, what we are going to lose, though, with Jarno departing Mercedes is the relationship between Jake Benham and Jarno Opmeer itself, of course. The two of them coming together. They've been together now for quite some time. Many of you would have watched the driver career modes that they would have had together, 2-player career modes that they've ran as a partnership. But unfortunately, that's going to come to an end. So we'll see how that changes certainly his content output, but we'll wait and see on that. Danny Berejnay, though, taking up a peripheral role at Mercedes, it seems, TK. And I must say, for good reason. I would argue back to his best form in last season's championship.
Arguably so. Danny he's bounced back from the last couple of seasons. He's stepped his foot in firmly, and I think that's now his solid position to go forward. He's got an overshadowing almost, of course, of Jarno departing the team, but he's also got that creativity and the freedom now to carve that seat into what he wants it to become.
Yeah, he certainly does, and obviously a very vast talent, very tall as well, as I have obviously learned in my experiences of working with Danny Berejnay as I drop my pen on the floor. Let's go through the season's grid. Obviously, that is something that we do want to take a little look at. Here it is, folks. This is the grid that will be certainly standing out for us throughout the entirety of the season. Of course, we do have reserves that come in now and again for drivers that are absent, but Jarno Opmeer and Josh Ido at Alpine. We have Fabrizio Donoso, Delgado and Duncan Hoffland moving up from developmental role, Duncan Hoffland, into a main seat with Aston for PSGL. Barry Brunemand and Nicolas Longuet in at Ferrari, Shanaka Clay and Tamas Gal at Haas. Of course, Tamas Gal, one of the rising stars coming through the fold, and Shanaka Clay, arguably one of the grandest free agents on offer at the moment, and still rumours as to where he's going to go. What we do know is that he is part of RHE. Thomas Ronhart and Brendan Lee line up for Kick F1 Sim Racing. We have Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes. Of course, Lucas Blakely, a former champion overall, and is, of course, a former PSGL champion alike after taking the crown back in Season 31. Jake Benham, to be said, alongside Danny Berejne. And, of course, we do have, as well, Declan Barrett making a debut, and he's alongside a returning Tomek Parajic, the Pole, back in the top flight once more. Ismail Fassi, the artist, remains at Williams with long-standing Williams driver Alvaro Caraton, also part of the Williams team as standard. But TK, what do you make of that?
What an absolutely fantastic grid we have going forward for the season. You've got the dynamic duo at Williams. You've got the best of the best at things like Red Bull, Mercedes, and of course, Jarno Opmeer. Who couldn't go a season without mentioning him stepping into that Alpine alongside Josh Idowo? And of course, everyone else alongside is always world class. There is not a name in there that you should rule out for the championship.
No, not at all. I can tell you that the new lobby has been raised. I've just joined it now, and we will keep you posted as to when we will be out on track, folks. But yeah, that is your mouth-watering grid. We have the season calendar as well to take you through. Of course, we're here at Bahrain for the first round on August 7th. We head across to the Earl Grey of World Motorsport. That is Britain at Silverstone on August 14th. It's round 2. Round 3 takes us to Japan on the 21st of August. 20th of August, we then head to Jeddah to the Corniche circuit. That's round 4. Round 5, and we head to the legendary circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, Belgium, September 4th. Then off to Mexico for round 6 on September 11th. September 18th in Austria, Red Bull Ring, Qatar. We're heading there for round 8. And then Las Vegas, we roll the dice on the 2nd of October. Texas on October 9th. Brazil on October 16th. And then, of course, the grand finale, round 12. Abu Dhabi, which is featured as the grand finale in real life, but also in the F1 sim racing space, and even here in PSGL alike. But a very nice canvas for us to paint a picture on for this campaign, TK.
Indeed, a very nice looking calendar. Of course, you've got the mix-ups in there, Brazil and Abu Dhabi, of course, to end the season. Some nice rounds in the middle, Mexico, Austria, Qatar, some very favoured tracks amongst the sim racing community, and it's going to be one fantastic season to watch and commentate on for yourself.
It certainly will be, guys, and we're looking forward to it. And one man who might be looking forward to coming back here to Bahrain after essentially trying to silence the doubters here at this case, TK. We've got to talk about Thomas Ronhaar. Of course, someone who was very much in the championship fight last season, pushed Freddie all the way. Unfortunately, the points swing didn't quite go in his favour. Couldn't beat Freddie at Abu Dhabi. But it was all about a trip to Bahrain in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship that essentially, in his mind, silenced the doubters. Let's hear from him on his build-up to yet another season in PSGL.
Hello everybody, Thomas Ronhaar here, and yeah, looking forward again to season number 37 of PSGL. League racing is back for me, and of course a lot of the esports drivers as well. Looking forward, like I said, it's been 3 weeks of the F1 game. To be honest, I think everybody has taken a little bit of a break because, you know, 11 months or even 12 months of sweating on last year's game was quite tough. But yeah, we're back. Looking forward again to round number 1, Bahrain. Should be a very, well, I would say chaotic, but also fun track to drive on. So it should be a good one for the viewers, but I'm quite sure it'll be a good event, definitely. Looking forward to another championship fight, hopefully, with a few guys. Full preparation, of course, will be for F1 esports as well. League racing will, of course, help with a lot of factors. And yeah, can't wait to get going again. So all I can say is I'll see you guys on track very, very soon. Ciao.
Thomas Ronhaar, obviously looking forward to getting back stuck into it. We've heard a few drivers now, TK, coming out of the F1 Sim Racing Championship, turning around after a lengthy break of sorts. Generally, we tend to go league racing right at the very start of a game cycle. We're actually quite a number of weeks in now. In fact, you could say months in to this game cycle here at this point. But just due to the very nature that the Sim Racing World Championship has only just essentially come to an end, a few of the drivers opted to take a little bit more leave. I know the likes of Nicholas Longuet have been on holiday, as is Barry Prudhomme and all the others. But Longuet even coming out fairly recently saying, I'm ready to come back. I'm eager to take the championship by the horns, both in PSGL League Racing, but also at the same time, the F1 Sim Racing Championship.
Yeah, of course. You've got to find that right balance between taking time off and then having that eagerness and anticipation to come back to the sport that you absolutely enjoy. I think it's been 140 days since we've stepped foot here at PCF1, and I know all the drivers are buzzing to get started under the lights in the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Well, do you know what I'm buzzing about, TK? Do you want to know what I am buzzing about? The lobby.
Go on, tell me.
The lobby's now live. We can head across to the game screen now, guys. Your patience has been rewarded. So there we go. We are here at Sakhir, ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix here in PSGL. Just to run you through the grid for tonight, because there are a couple of changes. Obviously, some points that will differ from what you saw from the graphic. Of course, still standard at Mercedes. Jake Benham, Danny Berejne line up at Mercedes. We've got Tom Manley, of course, at Red Bull, with Philip Prejnader coming in for Haas. Brendan Lee at Kick Sauber. Freddie Rasmussen also lines up for Red Bull. I tell you what, that Red Bull lineup does look mouth-watering. Jarno Opmeer in an Alpine. Who'd have thought? Barry Brunnerman in the Ferrari, Fabrizio Donoso in the Aston Martin, Tamas Gal in Haas, Wilson Hughes in the McLaren, Alvaro Carreton Williams, Duncan Hoffland in the Aston, Tomek Parajic in the RB, with Thomas Ronhart in the Kick Sauber, Nicholas Longe in the Ferrari, Otis Lawrence in at Red Bull, Josh Edo, Alpine, Ishmael Fassi Williams, Lucas Blakely in the McLaren. A very hench grid here, TK.
Hench is one word that I would definitely use to describe the grid this afternoon. Of course, Otis Lawrence and Philip coming in as reserves this afternoon, replacing some top quality drivers. And of course, Otis, well versed to the world of F1 esports. He himself looking not necessarily to prove a point, but also prove he belongs at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely right. In time-honoured tradition as well, where it comes to qualifying at the very start, we do have intermediate tyres being donned by the drivers. Now, just to give you guys some insight as to why that is, essentially some of the drivers like to push in some installation laps prior to getting into the thick of things where it comes to qualifying. But here at this point, we're now watching them make their way around. Freddie Rasmussen being one of those drivers on the mean green banded tyres as he now heads down this straight in Sector 3 and down towards turns 14 and 15. Where it comes to Bahrain, sandy circuit here, TK, can take a while to find your bearings, and there's a few curbs that can cause you a few problems.
Yeah, there certainly are. The curbs have been a tricky talking point over the course of the opening stint of this game cycle, but drivers will learn to adapt to them, of course. Bahrain being dubbed the safest circuit in the world as well. The amount of runoff area that our drivers have to play around with and experiment with when it comes to finding those hundreds and thousands of seconds.
Yeah, there's Jarno Opmeer, of course, 5-time PSGL champion, 2-time F1 Sim Racing World Champion. We shouldn't be necessarily too surprised seeing him in a Alpine to a degree, because of course he debuted in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship with Renault, fellow Enstone team. Of course, later Renault would be rebranded to Alpine in Formula One. But even prior to that, Jarno, before joining the Renault Sport Academy back in 2017, he was, of course, a real-life racing driver competing in the Eurocup Formula Renault Championship 2.0 in 2017. Even prior to that, Formula Renault 2.0 Northern European Championship, as well as the SMP F4 Championship and Spanish F4 Championship back in 2016. He was, of course, affiliated with the MP Motorsport team that currently work away in FIA Formula 3, FIA Formula 2, and is a champion in his own right. Some of you might have heard the stories of him taking on Mick Schumacher, of course being teammates as well with the likes of Richard Verschoor, but also a Mini Juniors Dutch champion Carter in 2009 and 2010, and he then went ahead to take the KF3 Dutch Championship in 2011 alike. So just goes to show it's not just virtual machinery where Jarno excels, it's also, you know, it's sim racing and real life.
Yeah, very much true. And his return to Alpine must feel like a little bit of a return to home as well, of course. It's where he grew up. It's where he came through the ranks as well. And now to be back there racing at the highest level of F1 sim racing, it's got to feel a little bit nostalgic for him.
Yeah, no, incredible. He's just pulled over now to the inside and now looking to... I'm not quite sure what happened there. Actually, we've got a set... drivers leaving the session, so already issues straight away. Now... very strange, has to be said. So no doubt maybe an issue with the lobby that Istvan Pukki's had to face. So we will keep you posted on that, everyone. I can't imagine this is how the results are going to stack.
I believe we are going for a lobby restart from what I can understand.
Okay, well, there we are, folks. A few moments that have unfortunately come in and disturbed the peace. Not the first time we've had a lobby restart, because we had to change the lobby earlier on as well. But, I mean, yeah, we could talk about the sensational performances from Jarno Opmeer in the past. Of course, to win 5 PSGL championships is one thing, but to be a 2-time Sim Racing World Champion is another. But to do it in real life as well, he's not the only one to do it. Lucas Blakely, Of course, Race of Champions, beating the likes of Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel. Absolutely unbelievable. And now this year, a GB4 championship winner as well.
Yeah, fantastic driving from Lucas Blakely. Of course, winning, I believe, last weekend out at Silverstone as well. He's really bridging the gap between sim racing and obviously real racing on tarmac. And it is fantastic to see the lengths that some of our drivers can go to when they step out of that virtual cockpit.
Yeah, I tell you what, incredible. I know that there's people in the live chat actually trying to pick blame on whoever the lobby host is. I'm not going to tell you who the lobby host is, guys. I'm not gonna leave someone hanging like that. That is not fair. But nevertheless, if you guys have enjoyed this waffle session that myself and TK are bringing to you, please be sure to check out the socials as well. Leave a like and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, if you're watching on Twitch, big hello to you guys as well. Leave a follow and stay up to date with whenever we go live here on the channel as well. But yeah, the drivers, some of them still going around. Brendan Lee, Freddie Rasmussen still yet to depart. Ishmael Fassi's just departed now. Tamesh Gal, I should probably depart as well because I'm no longer going to want to be part of this particular lobby. But yeah, incredible. But TK, in terms of your situation, you're stepping up from other tiers that you would have met different drivers along the way. What is it like, that progression arc for some drivers that move up from, say, a tier 3 into a tier 2? In some cases, some of them get bumped up to tier 1.
Yeah, very true. I think it's a big step for them, of course. It may only seem like one tier difference, but you've got a whole different class of racers when you make that jump from tier 3 to tier 2, and it's a whole new mentality going into it. You were once the fastest in your tier, you've gained that promotion, and now you're essentially starting at the back. You've got to work your way through again, learn how everyone races, and it's a real test of mentality. It
really is test of mentality, but you do find that the best talent is galvanized through these scenarios. We are getting, hopefully, a lobby set up and underway. No doubt some of them are going to be getting a bashing off Big C right now, but of course, folks, don't panic. We're going to keep you guys posted as well on the calendar. Just a quick reminder as well for where we're going. If you've just joined us, we are heading to Bahrain tonight. Britain is next on our list, coming up very soon. Japan, Jeddah, Belgium, Mexico, Austria, Qatar, Las Vegas, Texas, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, and then of course our season's grid lineup. We can take you through that as well. Of course, we've got to say big thank you as well to GT Omega and Sim Racing Centre for being our proud sponsors here at the Premier Sim Gaming Leagues PSGL. Jana Watmir, Josh Edo at Alpine, Lucas Blakely, Wilson Hughes at McLaren, Fabrizio Donoso Delgado, Duncan Hoffland at Aston Martin, Jake Benham, Danny Berejne at Mercedes, Barry Bruddermand, Nicholas Longe at Ferrari, Frederick Rasmussen, Tom Manley at Red Bull, Shanaka Clay, Tamesh Gal in Haas. Of course, no Shanaka tonight because Philip Prejnader comes in. Declan Barrett and Tomek Parajic coming in at RB, Thomas Ronhart and Brendan Lee at Kick Sim Racing Team, and then we do have Ishmael Fassi and Alvaro Caraton lining up for Williams. So those are your drivers lining up for the season. Of course, faces here racing tonight in place of others, but the new session should be coming up very shortly, folks. The lobby is filled out fairly quickly. In terms of how the championship folds out, TK, probably one of the most competitive championships I think we're going to see. I know we see that season on season, but if you look at the numbers, and one young driver that's catching my eye, Otis Lawrence, a young man from the Rhondda Valleys. Well, actually, no, he's not from the Rhondda. Josh Edo's from the Rhondda. We've got two Welsh drivers racing in the championship this season. But Otis Lawrence hasn't missed a beat or skipped a beat from last season. He has been absolutely sensational in recent times. Many believe that he is a surefire favourite for an F1 sim racing seat at the very first time of asking, and for good reason. He was part of the McLaren Academy team. Might be some changes in the future, who knows, but definitely a raw talent.
Yeah, he's one young driver that's caught the eye of a lot of people. It's fantastic to see as they continue through their careers. Otis Lawrence, I'm almost certain, will be sat at that gauntlet of 20 drivers when we get round to F1 sim racing once again.
Yeah, no doubt at all. I just want to say a big thank you as well to you guys at home for your patience. Obviously, I do apologise for the issues we're facing tonight. I'm pleased to say that for once it's not my fault. So, you know, we'll take that. You know, it doesn't happen very often. But yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna air the person who is behind the lobbies tonight. But yeah, we're waiting to get set anyway. Some really good guys coming through. Duncan Hoffland, another driver that has been on the precipice of getting a full-time seat as well, TK. An Aston Martin development driver, and has been for quite a number of years now. Probably one of the most experienced drivers at Aston Martin, but only just getting his shot at the, should we say, the main seat in PSGL as such.
Yeah, it's a difficult league to break into anything in terms of Formula One sim racing. Of course, it is the gauntlet. It is the top step for any driver in their young career, and of course, you have to make the opportunities count when they matter. Strike them when the iron's hot, so to speak. And Duncan Hoffland, my apologies, will be looking to do that this time around.
Yeah, absolutely right. I just had a bit of a laugh at Gareth Allen's comment. It is George's fault. Don't believe a word. He's actually in a curry shop right now. I am not in a curry shop. You can see there's no curry here. I'm in my commentary box. But yeah, great to see you, Gareth, and great to see all of you in the live chat as well. Make sure you let us know. Also, I think this would be fun as well. Maybe we can run a poll in the live chat as well. I'm not sure if we have any mods there that can look after this for us. Why don't we run polls in both the YouTube chats and how about the Twitch chats as well? Or maybe we'll just use the live chat itself. Let us know, who do you think is going to be our PSGL Drivers' Champion this season? We'd love to hear from you. Do you think it's going to be a Jarno Opmeer 6-timer? Do you think it'll be Lucas Blakely 2nd? Will it be Nicholas Longue this time around? Or will it be Barry Burraman's 2nd championship? Who knows? Or will it be someone totally new? Let us know on the live chat, guys, and we'd love to read out your messages as well. Get the Olympics on, Matthias van Herven is saying. Go play darts, says Will Gibson. We're getting bored. You don't want to see that, honestly. But yeah, incredible. But yeah, let us know who's going to take it. TK, I want your prediction. Who do you think is going to take the title this year?
I'll tell you what, it's a tough one speaking from the commentary box. Of course, it's a long season ahead of their drivers, but maybe that's just my long-winded way of saying I think Jarno might have another victory in the bag.
Yeah, I think you could be right. There's actually a suggestion for a poll for between us as to who's going to have the best hairline, or who has the best hairline. I'm not sure whether you've seen that, TK. But yeah, incredible.
I've just seen it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Gareth Allen, again for the top takes here already tonight. Pleased to say we are loading into the session, guys. You don't have to worry about this much longer. But yeah, let us know who your champion's going to be. Ian Mims, I can already say, is back in Jarno. We've got Berejne from Phoenix Silver. And Jarno moving to a Red Bull. Who knows, Badass Monkey? We yet to see just yet. Vasta Racer saying Wilson Hughes. Let's have a look. Anyone else got any names for us that we can pick out? Not that I can see. All quiet on the Western Front. Good news is, folks, we are back, so we will head across to Bahrain once more. I really hope this is the final time, because, of course, as much as I love speaking to you guys, and I'm sure as much as you love seeing my beautiful face and TK's beautiful face as well, we will finally get some action, which is what I'm, what we're all looking forward to. But, yeah, looks like now some of the cars are making their way out. Tomek Paradzic being one of the first ones, and the pole returns back to a PSGL top flight grid once again, and I've kind of missed this young man, because many of them were bidding for Tomek to be one of the top flight performers, and he was one of the brightest young hopefuls to come out of the junior echelons of Veloce many years ago. But never say never, he could come roaring back, TK.
He certainly could. Lots of opportunity standing in front of him. Of course, driving the V-Carb here this afternoon alongside Otis Lawrence. What a pairing that's going to be going into this race.
Yeah. And yes, indeed, OMG, there is a track map. We have got one out on screen. I've given in to you all. I've given in. But yeah, that's going to stay. So don't worry, guys at home. We have got a track map. The soft tyre has been done by Tomek Paradzic, so he's not wasting any time on this outlap. He's going to get straight down to it. No waiting around from the RB as he now makes his way through the final few corners on this outlap now. The RB team that have graced their presence with the likes of Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda this season in real-life Formula One. Have a very venomous lineup here this season with Otis Lawrence and Tomek Paradzic at the helm here this time as they now sprint down the long straight. Incoming now, Tomek Paradzic is right on board. TK, what do you make of it?
Well, a fantastic start is going to be so crucial here. Of course, now reduced to a short qualifying session here in the opening round of PSGL, so everyone is going to be out getting their initial laps in. First few corners looking good for the V-Carb driver. DRS open, of course, on their second opportunity, and it's such a battle of straight line speed versus grip in those corners. And it's going to be such a game for their engineers to try and figure out what is the ideal setup for their drivers here, George.
Yeah, short qualifying underway. Tomek Paradzic already looking, a little strong. We will take a look at some of the sector times alike. I can tell you that the purple first sector has gone to Ismail Fassi. He's managed to register a 27.880, but Otis Lawrence immediately snatches it with a 27.739, but invalidates his run straight away. So that hands the baton back across to Fassi. But we'll keep our eyes peeled on Tomek Parajic, because he is going to be the first driver to cross with a valid lap time. He's right on board with the pole once again. Coming up through turns 13 very shortly. Venturing down the next straight, which will then lead him up towards the final double right-hander of 14 and 15. Purple second sector, this time going to Alvaro Carreton. So Williams are actually in a very strong, rich vein of form, as now we watch Parajic make his way up towards the line. Where's the RB going to go? Goes to the top with a 126.167, but following suit very shortly will be Ismail Fassi, who goes to the top. What about teammate Alvaro Carreton? Third fastest, despite landing that purple second sector time, but not needing a purple first and second sector is Jarno Opmeer, who now immediately hits the front with the first 125 of the session.
Yeah, fantastic lap there from Jarno Opmeer, 125.9 from Thomas Gal jumping in, as is Jake Benham to the top three spots. The Haas and the Mercedes alike. Thomas Ronhar coming across the line as well. So those times starting to come in thick and fast for our drivers.
Certainly are. Barry Burman back as well this season. No improvements on Jarno's current sector times right now. It's still early doors. We have 13 minutes and 50 to go, but there'll be enough waiting around now. Of course, we won't get any of that here in a short qualifying scenario, as now we watch Burman head down this next long straight. Wilson Hughes currently sat 10th fastest. Philip Prejlader on his first return back wasn't actually down for a seat here this season. Full-time seat anyway. One of the reserve lineups, but making his way into the Haas team in place of Shanaka Clay here tonight. Barry Burman, though, goes to the top with a stellar third sector, a 21.152. And that is brilliant. Places him higher than Jarno Opmeer. Danny Berejne goes third fastest in this instance. Otis Lawrence still out on track, and you'd garner him with a decent chance of registering a decent time, but running slowly in the second sector. And I think there was a mistake in the first sector for Otis Lawrence. So this will not be necessarily an up-to-the-mark lap time. But there are a few players still yet to land their blows out onto the table, including this man, Freddie Rasmussen. But Burman still holds all the cards up at the top.
He certainly does. As you were saying, mistake for Otis Lawrence in the second sector. It all went a little bit downhill for the V-Carb driver. He will be looking to bounce back. Of course, only 12.5 minutes left in this qualifying session. Nicholas Longley setting a lap time just behind his teammate Barry Burman. So up to P8 for the other Ferrari. They're going for a slightly different strategy. Went out a little bit later than some of the other drivers, and maybe it could just pay off here.
Could well do. Freddie Rasmussen with a decent first sector at 27.843. Places him right in the ballpark, perhaps even toppling Barry Burman here. So second sector and third sector is going to be absolutely vital. Heading down in towards the next left-hander at turn 11. Coming up the hill, the slight elevation change now as they move through turns 12 and very soon turns 13. The Great Dane now back here on F124, 36.9 in sector 2. Puts him right in the centre of the dance floor here this time, but the second sector time of Jarno Opmeer still is more advanced than the Red Bulls right now as they come through the final corner at turn 14 and 15. Freddie Rasmussen, the Great Dane, coming up towards the line, third fastest straight away. His teammate will be coming up very shortly, though. Tom Manley, the next one to make his way up towards the line, but impressive starter run here from Freddie Rasmussen. But the big players already formulating up at the front, and here comes Tom Manley here, TK.
Yep, he's up towards the line. DRS open for the Rebel. Across the line, and it's a 1:26. Pretty much flat for himself. 0.03 of a second off Tamas Gal in P5. So another attempt here will be needed for our drivers. Just over 11 minutes left in this qualifying session, of course. And some drivers back on their outlaps. Most importantly, though, Lucas Blakely and Josh Idaho in 19th and 20th, respectively. About to go for a hot lap of their own after a disastrous first lap out.
Yeah, absolutely right. Lucas Blakely now looking to register his first fastest time here on the board. We've already got two former PSGL champions up at the very top. Barry Burman and Jarno Opmeer. Jarno Opmeer, the reigning PSGL champion, made it number 5 last time out. Is now back straight away on an out lap. But Burman currently ahead of him by a mere 0.08 of a second. Lucas Blakely, who won the championship back in season 31, would love to reclaim it. as we said before, beating the likes of Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas in the Race of Champions not too long ago. And since then gone on to greater things, including becoming an F1 sim racing world champion. And his coming the season after Jarno Watmere would take his second, as we now watch Blakely come around the final couple of corners, heading up towards the line with DRS open. Let's see where he goes, second fastest. So the Scotsman now enters the fold. 3 former PSGL champions, 1, 2 and 3. Mouth-watering here as Josh Edo goes 5th fastest as well. Great to see him back as well, TK.
Yeah, fantastic to see the return of himself, of course, lining up against Jarno Watmere. It's a bit of a challenge for himself. He's got that world champion next door to him. He's going to want to try and outperform him at every single opportunity. But I think, especially in this opening race in Bahrain, he just needs to knuckle down, focus on his own race and get to that finish line as quick as he possibly can. Don't necessarily worry too much about the driver you have next door.
No, not at all. Jarno Watmere now out and about, coming out of turn 10. And the DRS opens up once more. 27.9 in Sector 1 is not bad whatsoever. It does put him right in the fight here. Is faster than the first sector of Barry Burremand, who registered a 27.925. But Blakely will still need to be beaten, but Jarno immediately steals the purple second sector. So this could be a time that places him back on top. As I said, a 3-time karting champion. And a 2-time F1 sim racing champion, holds the record for most championships alongside the likes of Brendan Lee, as he now heads up now towards the line. Only enough for second fastest. Couldn't topple Barry Burremand at all, who still holds that purple third sector, and that has been the difference maker here in this instance. Freddie Rasmussen back out on an outlap alike. Just looking around the grid to see who's improving. Wilson Hughes is also improving, just put in a personal best in Sector 2, but coming straight into the pits. Obviously not happy with that lap, TK.
Yeah, not the one for him this time around. Just want to speak about Jarno Watmere there very briefly. 2 hundredths of a second off Barry Burremand in P1. And he lost 2/10 in the final sector compared to the Ferrari. So if he was able to nail it down ever so slightly more, we could have seen pole position there for Jarno Watmere.
Could well have done. Fortunately, not this time. Got closer. The gap is a mere 26 thousandths between Ps1 and Ps2 right now. Danny Berejnay also out on track. He's registered a 28.0 in Sector 1. That is not comparable with Jarno's first sector, but he has registered a purple second sector, so he's gone faster than Jarno Watmere, his former teammate from last season. So the Hungarian, hungry for more, has been teammates for 2 different champions already in his career. First one being with Brendan Lee, but he now comes into the pits after invalidating coming through the final corner, TK.
Yeah, it was actually the validation through the through the start of the second sector, end of the second sector, start of the third sector. That's where all went wrong for the Mercedes, and obviously just backing out into the pit lane. He's got enough time to turn that car around, go again for another flying lap with a fresh fuel load in. What I want to keep your eye on, though, is Otis Lawrence. He's down towards the final couple of corners. He's gone purple in Sector 1.
Yeah, certainly he has. Otis Lawrence currently sits at the very tail of the field, and he's now making his way up towards the line. Purple with a 27.6 in Sector 1, 36.8 in Sector 2. 4th fastest for Otis Lawrence, the Welshman, back and entering his name in the fold by going faster than Freddie Rasmussen. And I tell you what, another statement made by this talented young individual who was part of the Veloce lineup, has now looked ahead to perhaps even feathering his own nest in terms of F1 sim racing and taking on its official World Championship. Of course, coming of age soon enough, rose to stardom as a young 15-year-old and now looking to progress as a 16, 17-year-old now. What a talent this young man is. And we saw how well he did earlier on in the week when racing with Jarno Watmere in a sister league that also takes part at the very top end where it comes to F1 sim racing, but Otis doing a bang-up job, and Barry Burremand has just gone faster again at 25.682, places his time just under 2/10 faster than Jarno Watmere.
Yeah, fantastic that from Barry there, just cementing the lead at the top of that leaderboard at the moment. Of course, Jarno Watmere will be trying everything that he can to chase down the Scuderia Ferrari. Lucas Blakely just behind as well, and they're both on their outlap. Freddie Rasmussen, I believe, on their hot lap at the moment, or on their in-lap here, rather down on their time.
Well, Rasmussen's managed to poke himself back up to 3rd fastest, so he's jumped ahead of Otis Lawrence. Jake Benham went 5th fastest as well, which is a grand display from the All-Star. But still many other drivers out on the grid looking to try and put themselves higher and higher. This young man looking to do the same, Thomas Ronhaar, but he's got a lot of work to do that. Currently sat behind teammate Brendan Lee, but never say never. We've still got 5 minutes to go here in the session. Danny Berejnay out on an outlap as well. Jana Watmere coming out once more too. Let's see what these drivers have to offer at the bitter end of qualifying. A few other cars making their way past. Personal bests on offer for various drivers out there right now. There was a personal best in the first sector for Tomek Paradzic, but he lost it again coming through the second sector just a shade. And now around the final 2 corners he will go. Can Tomek Paradzic elevate himself from 16th on the grid? No, comes straight back into the pits. A rethink, fresh set of tyres, and then one last chance to dance, because we're coming into the final 4.5 minutes here at the moment, TK.
We certainly are. Last chance hurrah for most of our drivers. You can see those pit lane markers on the left-hand side of your screen starting to fill up as everyone files into the pit lane. I'm sure we'll see a few out laps starting to pip up on there as well. It's the last mental process our drivers have to go through. Just the preparation phase, last-minute tweaks, of course, and then it is full send for the full 5.4 kilometres this Bahraini track has to offer.
Talking of full send, it was very nearly full send for Lucas Blakely. Purple in the second sector and just places himself 89 thousandths behind Barry Burremand. So already eating away at that former 0.2 of a second gap between Barry Burremand and Jana Watmere. Blakely's just positioned himself right in the middle of it, and with a great chance to potentially go higher as well. But Jana Watmere also on an outlap, but well, on a full flying lap, should I say. 3 thousandths just under his personal best time. He needs to find more in Sector 3 here, TK.
He certainly does. Sector 3 is a hard place to make up time, though. You've got a minimal amount of corners, effectively 2 right-handers, as Danny Berejnay goes fastest of the pack so far, George.
He certainly does. A 25.613 places the Hungarian at the top of the tree. An absolutely fabulous lap there from Danny Berejnay. Not necessarily purple in any of the sectors, but managed to put together personal bests in every single sector to bring himself to the top. It's Invalidation City for Alvaro Caraton, not ideal at all. And Lucas Blakely also invalidating alike. So some big players losing out mightily there at this moment in time. Wilson Hughes also out on a fast run, has registered a 30.2 in the first sector, which certainly won't help him rise himself up from P17.
It certainly won't at all. Of course, you've got to be so careful with track limits around a track like Bahrain. It's a very fast, very flowing course, but of course, if you step over those white lines, that track becomes your worst nightmare. Trying to rush back to the pits or rush back to that timing being to get going once again. With only 2.5 minutes left on the clock, George, it's going to be absolutely nail-biting to finish.
Well, could it be Danny Berejnay who takes the opening pole position of the PSGL season 37 season? What a story arc this man has had. One of the OGs in F1 sim racing. He's been part of league racing for such a long time as well. A league racing champion formerly in other areas, but coming back this time, and you never know, could be a title charge on offer to become our 4th different PSGL PCF1 champion. It all starts in round 1, and judging from what we're seeing, nothing wrong with Berejnay's pace. 69 thousandths quicker than Barry Burremand in second place, who's now making his way out on track. So this is going to be sheer fireworks right now, TK.
It will indeed. Will Barry be able to take pole position, or will our last outings winner take pole position? Of course, Danny Berejnay taking the win out in Bahrain. Season 33, if you can think back that long ago. And it will be interesting to see how the Mercedes driver holds his nerve as he watched 19 other drivers, now 18, with Wilson Hughes retiring early from the session, about to put in their fastest laps that they possibly can conjure up.
Yeah. Wilson Hughes actually making a prediction earlier on. He couldn't wait to be towards the back with Philip Prejnader. It looks like his foresight is going to come true. Barry Burremand, champion back in season 33. We run on board here with a Ferrari. Of course, teams champions in F1 sim racing last season with Nicholas Longate. We saw the reaction in the Ferrari camp back at Sweden. And no doubt, more to come from this young man who's been fighting against the likes of Jana Watmere, Danny Berejnay, Lucas Blakely, Freddie Rasmussen, time and time again. It's been such a thrill ride watching him develop into the driver he has become, the rapidly fast Iranian now cruising through the first sector of turns 5 as well, 6, 7, and in towards turn 8. Heavy braking zone, straight back on the throttle, be cautious of the curb on exit, but already looking very smart indeed in this initial run, coming out of turn 9 in towards turn 10. Burraman's now feathering that throttle once more, opens up the DRS, looking to beat his previous time of 1:25.682. It's going to be an almighty charge to do so. Still holds the purple third sector, despite Danny Berejnay holding on to the pole position advantage up at the top. But I can tell you this, Burraman is on a charge. 36.7 grants him a personal best, but Lucas Blakely's just gone purple in sector 2 with a 36.589 of his own, so you never know, the McLaren could uproot them all. Barry Burraman now coming up towards the line. What's it going to be for the Iranian? Will he topple Berejnay? He can't at all, but Lucas Blakely still with the purple second sector. Big mistake there from Lucas Blakely, and that is going to surely not pay dividends for him. Otis Lawrence also crashing out here in qualifying. Massive drama already unfolding towards the bitter end. Jarno Opmeer not on an improvement at all either, as we see more drivers coming up towards the line. A reprieve here for Danny Berejnay, who might have seen his pole position slip away. Jake Benham goes 4th fastest. Brilliant job by the All-Star, as Jarno Opmeer improves ahead of his teammate Josh Edo to 5th. Extraordinary stuff here, but Benham getting ahead of his teammate from last season. Opmeer behind him, as now Caraton remains 10th fastest. Thomas Ronhaar can't jump up higher than 12th. He invalidated his previous run. Last but not least is Tomek Paradzic, who is also invalidated. Take a bow. Danny Berejnay on pole, the first pole position of the year, and it falls to the Hungarian.
What a start for the young man's season, starting to, as he means to go on a course. He won last time out in Bahrain, and he's got 1 foot firmly on that podium, 29 laps in front of him. But if he believes, he definitely can win this race here, George.
Well, that is utterly extraordinary. Great job by Danny Berejnay. Back to the top once more, a place where he used to be oh so used to. He has played second fiddle in terms of, I suppose, driver positions where it comes to championships. Of course, Brendan Lee, his teammate in 2018, and Lee would go on to take the title. Jarno Opmeer would take the title alongside Berejnay. It was Opmeer's first title, in fact, back at Sauber. And of course, they'd be reunited at Mercedes as well, in which case Jarno would go on to take a championship in 2021. Of course, 2 seasons after, David Tunitsa would win the championship with a Ferrari. But not a great job for Nicolas Longate, 17th quickest. That's going to hurt. Unfortunately, an invalidation in his last and his final last run certainly didn't help. But Danny Berejnay is on pole position for PSGL here in its opening round. Barry Burraman 2nd. We then have Lucas Blakely starting 3rd. Jake Benham, a fantastic performance in 4th. Jarno Opmeer 5th. Josh Edo in 6th. Alpine 5th and 6th. 7th for Ishmael Fassi. Freddie Rasmussen down in 8th. What's he got to do to raise the stakes here? We got Otis Lawrence in 9th. Alvaro Caraton 10th. Further down, we have Brendan Lee, Thomas Ronhaar, Duncan Hoffland, Philip Prejneda, Tamas Gal, Tom Manley, Nicholas Longay, Wilson Hughes, Tomek Paradzic, and Fabrizio Donoso Delgado. So there you have it, folks. That is your grid for the start of the race coming up later on tonight. We'll be back with you to bring you some analysis, but until then, a quick break. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back, everybody. And after a stellar qualifying session from one Danny Berejnay, it means that he is on pole position for the very first round of the season. And I, for one, can't wait to see how he's going to work to convert that into, obviously, a race win, because essentially that's the expectation. Get pole victory, TK. Wouldn't be wrong in thinking that. He did well, 69 thousandths faster than second place Barry Burraman. Not bad at all.
Not bad in the slightest. And of course, the pole to win conversion rate here looking definitely in Danny's favour. Of course, you mentioned Nicolas Longuet just before we took our short break, having a poor qualifying by his standard. Of course, if we look back to the last time he raced here in Bahrain, a disqualification coming the way of the Scuderia Ferrari. So maybe Bahrain being a bit of a bad track for him, or a cursed track if you want to go that far.
It could well be. We do have a lobby restart, incidentally, folks. That is why we will be obviously taking some time out of the session right now. But, of course, we'll keep you posted as to when racing action gets underway. But in the meantime, we can, of course, look into some of the, I suppose, the W's, some of the L's, I suppose, from qualifying. I mean, I want to say, obviously, Barry Burman back again. Obviously, as we said, team's champions with Nicolas Longuet at Ferrari in F1 Sim Racing. Lucas Blakely, seemingly also looking rather quick. Third fastest, actually, off the back of that qualifying session. Great effort from Jake Benham as well, who I must say didn't have the easiest of runs in the F1 Sim Racing Championship last season, but you've got to take into account it was his first season as I suppose, a main Mercedes driver, along with Berejne and Otmir. So I think with Benham, probably likely more to come, TK.
Yeah, almost certainly. He's a fantastic young driver. He's got so much to give his team out this season, and I think it might sound cringy when you say it in the commentary box like this, but the sky is most certainly the limit for himself.
Yeah, absolutely right. Obviously, folks, let us know who you think is obviously going to take victory here tonight in PSGL. We will, of course, read out some of your messages as well. We really appreciate your support alike. We apparently as well, they're all leaving the session again, so we're going to be starting again very shortly, folks. So sit tight. Bear with us. We will be underway very soon. But TK, in terms of the ones to watch, I mean, obviously, if we take qualifying as gospel at this stage, obviously it's all up to Berejne, I think, at this point. But you know, if Burman gets a good start and a good run down towards turn one, that can make all the difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If he can command that lead down into turn number one, through turns 2 and 3, and through the long straight up towards turn number 4, that's going to be so crucial for the Mercedes driver. He'll have everyone behind him, trying to chase him down, trying to push that gearbox through the opening corners. But if he holds his nerve, he is going to be in complete command of this race.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Just sitting tight, folks, again, ready to get things underway. But a few other names we can look at as well. Arguably a little disappointing from Freddie Rasmussen. Would you expect more from the Great Dane?
I think you would be, and I think he'd almost expect a little bit more from himself as well, and that's where it really plays into it. He's got those championships behind his back now. He's got to just calm down, focus on his own race, and we know he's got pace. If we cut the drama, cut everything like that, we know he's got pace, and we look forward to seeing how he does in the race situation.
Yeah, got a little bit of a game glitch here, guys, so bear with us. It's getting better, really. Keep it with us, folks. Oh, it's all fun and games. But yeah, we'll bring you some of the action very shortly. But yeah, obviously, looking ahead, you know, a few of you have been mentioning some of your names you predict for the win. Gassi saying Otmir for the win. Berejne says Phoenix Silver. Let's have another look further up. Danny easily says Callum F1. I'm not reading that. Danny says Petyahan as well. Someone even say I need some more Law, TK. People wanting Law. Someone put in Marcel Kiefer for the win as well, says Darth. Same person, actually. But yeah, no Marcel Kiefer, unfortunately, in this championship. But I must say, he did a great job in the commentary box with us, providing some analysis after the race. Will Gibson coming out and saying Yano for the win. If the strategy falls the right way, is that possible, TK?
I think anything is possible in this race. Of course, 29 laps around the Kingdom of Bahrain. A fantastic circuit. Of course, first making its debut in Formula 1 back in 2004. And I think Jarno knows this track. It's not necessarily a home track for him, but might be considered an home away from home. And if the Dutchman can put a foot right, he can put pedal to the metal and weave his way through the grid.
Absolutely right, indeed. I mean, it's going to be an extraordinary race. I mean, strategies are going to be quite divisive as well. I'm actually quite sort of curious to see who opts for what, especially those at the front end of the grid to those at the back. Do wonder whether some drivers might opt for something a little more aggressive, maybe even starting on the softs and maybe applying some of their, useful tyre knowledge or tyre whispering, should we say, because, Bahrain in many ways, historically, has been a high-deck track.
It certainly has, and of course with the pit lane having such a great time loss behind it, roughly around 23 seconds, you won't want to be making any extra pit stops than you absolutely need to. Of course, you will need to make one mandatory pit stop if it remains dry, but any more than that, you're kind of losing time hand over fist, unfortunately.
Certainly are. Certainly are. Bear with us, folks. Racing will be back underway very shortly. Generally, once you get the first race of the season done and in the bag, everything else tends to follow. But yeah, we will be racing very soon. But at this rate, I think obviously there's many names we can look at. Great to see Lucas Blakely back to his big and hopeful best. Obviously, we've alluded to Otmir also marking his return as well. Obviously, in the Alpine tonight, generally his race pace is kind of where it goes. Little disappointed with Thomas Ronhaar, I have to say. I kind of expected him to be more at the forefront. Actually qualified behind his teammate Brendan Lee.
Yeah, well, if you look back in the history book, so to speak, it was Brendan Lee that outpipped him last time he came to Bahrain, 3rd versus 5th for the now Saubers, let's put it that way. Of course, racing in different cars back in seasons gone by, but I wonder if history might be repeating itself here this afternoon.
You never know. It could well be. I mean, if we take a look at some of the winners that have come here in the past, Danny Berejnay, incidentally, did win here back in season 33. Barry Burramant, season 31. So the two front row drivers both taking wins back-to-back seasons, 31, 33.
Yeah, fantastic to see, and it really does set up what is going to be a fantastic opening to season 37. I've never been more hyped for a race. I might be a bit biased because I'm in the commentary box for it, but I have definitely never been more hyped.
Yeah, if you want to know who's winning the beard war right now, you're winning in accordance to the chat. So TK's won tonight. He's won something tonight, so that's good. Yeah, we'll see when we get down to the predictions, see whether yours comes off or not. But obviously, we still want to wait for the chat to bring out theirs. But yeah, we will be underway very shortly, folks. The lobby is, I believe, in full flow. We're currently in the lobby waiting up, ready for it to ready up, so stay with us. Jarno Otmir, though, with 2 wins, hasn't won here since season 29, though, TK.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, I think when you look back in history, you've got to take into consideration that they're completely different playing fields to the one we have now. It's a new game, not necessarily a new engine, but new handling model, new physics and everything behind that as well. Drivers will have upgraded their gear since then. And you've got to go into each season, fresh mental attitude, be cautious on the approach to turn 1 and see it through. It's a long race to be careful for.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed. A few of you have been asking as well, why is there no full quali? Well, it's simply because we have taken far too much time trying to get the lobby right in the first place. So we've now opted for the short quali, hence why we're only running the 1 session. That is why. Of course, we had 3 attempts to get in the lobby up and running for qualifying, but it didn't work. So we ran the short one because we ate into the time too much, just to make sure we can get onto the race in a timely fashion. Big thank you to Michael Kotasiak as well for the 10 Polish currency. Really appreciate that. Good luck to everyone. Let's ride, he says. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. And a big thank you to everyone for their support as well throughout the course of PSGL here tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, to leave a like and also subscribe if you've been tuning in on YouTube. If you're over on Twitch, big hello. Make sure you leave a follow as well. Stay up to date as well with all the social medias at Premier Sim GL on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and be sure as well to pledge your support to the GT Omega team and also SRC, who are proud sponsors here of PSGL. I know Jarno's getting a little frustrated, wants to ready up ASAP. I'm seeing his tick flashing non-stop right now. We all feel the same way, Jarno, don't worry about it. But yeah, massive thank you to those who are in support tonight. Obviously, we'll take a quick look at the calendar for the season. Obviously, off the back of this race today, we will be moving to Britain for August 14th, Japan for August 21st, August 28th, Jeddah, Belgium on September 4th, Mexico September 11th, Austria September 18th, September 25th we head to Losail at Qatar, and then to Vegas on October 2nd, October 9th, Texas, Brazil for the penultimate round on October 16th, and then Abu Dhabi for the grand finale October 23rd, where hopefully we'll be crowning a champion at the very bitter end. But hopefully we'll see a massive gargantuan championship fight towards that very date. Now, it's generally considered, TK, we talk about PSGL champions, they'll go on to fight for the F1 Sim Racing World Championship. Would you say that's going to be a clear indicator this time, or is the skill gap so tight this time around that it's impossible to even say that? Because it used to be the case we could say that.
What a question you've just proposed in front of us. And I'm sure the people at home will agree with me when I say that the gap between our drivers at the moment is oh so close. You could barely put a piece of paper between them. And I wonder, when it comes down to the real life events, when it comes down to those 20 drivers on a stage together, what is going to be the outcome? Because I definitely cannot call that.
Well,
I don't think anyone at home could call that.
Well, I've got some good news, guys. The lobby is now counting down. We are getting to the point where we are going to be finally talking about some racing. Happy days. Across to the old. We're going to move off to the analysis segment. So the live feed now very shortly is going to present us with an image of the track, which is fantastic. So there you go, Bahrain under the lights for the very first round of the PSGL PCF1 Championship. Let us know in the live chat who your selections are in terms of who you think is going to be race winners here tonight. We want to hear from you. Light up that live chat, I should say, here if you're tuned in, and we'll read out some of your messages. We're about to crown our very first race winner of the season. Will it be Danny Berejnay? Haida Khan saying Jarno. We've got Benham says Ville Kepinainen. Apologies if I got that name wrong. We've got Jarno says Lucas Maloney. We've got Burraman for the win, says Dean Cord. We got Alderod saying, if Jarno doesn't win, I'm leaving this country. Goatmere says B. Smith. That's a bit drastic, but we are going to move now, finally, to the lights as we get set to race, and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 and it's a great start for Danny Berejnay, though Barry Burraman is going to meet him every which way, coming down in towards turn one. Jake Benham now moving up into Josh Edo. Lucas Blakely losing out as now Benham goes on an assault. A fantastic start for young Jake Benham, as is for Josh Edo. They come down in towards turn four, wheel to wheel between Blakely and Edo now, but on the inside a puff of smoke. Edo lights things up. Blakely with a switchback coming out of turn four, but can't find his feet. Jarno Opmeer dueling with Duncan Hofland, the two Dutch drivers coming together. Hofland won on this occasion.
Yeah, Duncan Hofland having a fantastic race start here, up 6 positions already. Jarno Opmeer down 4, so having a really poor pull away in that Alpine, but Duncan Hofland down the inside of Ishmael Fassi, up to P6 for the Aston Martin driver. He's looking to really put his stamp on this season, George.
Yeah, difficult start as well for Freddie Rasmussen. The F1 Sim Racing World Champion is now being overtaken by Thomas Ronhaar. Of course, historically, we saw them dueling in the World Championship back a few seasons ago, a couple of seasons ago, and Ronhaar pushing him around turn 11. And of course, those two came to blows back in Mexico. Some of you might remember that. Enter as well Tamas Gal, who's under pressure here with Tomek Parajishub is inside, and then there's a Haas round. Oh, that's Gal. Tamas Gal round coming out of turn 13 down through towards turn 14.
So unfortunate there for Tamas Gal, of course, dropping down to P20 as Barry Burraman sets the fastest lap of the race and leads the grid through towards turn number 1. Danny Berejnay will be not in the happiest of minds at the moment. He starts on pole, but now down to P2 as Josh Idaho gets past Jake Benham. He's once again up in the podium spots, up 3 from race start.
Yeah, Josh Edo getting a lovely run coming out of turn 1 and now holds on to third place. Duncan Hofland on the rise as well, as we now see Otis Lawrence pirouetting his way around turn 4 and ahead of Ishmael Fassi. Let's take a look at the tyre situation. Of course, there are quite a number of drivers occupying the hard tyres, Jarno Opmeer being one of them. Might be the case that those on the hards are struggling for pace right now, here in this case, TK. And if you are on the hards, obviously there is a pace deficit because those on the softs and the mediums will have the better grip.
Almost certainly. Lucas Blakely, of course, being the top running hard tyre runner at the moment, and he's dropped 3 from where he once started on that grid. Up in P3, of course, was where he qualified. He now finds himself down in the P6, but he knows the longevity of those tyres is what is at play here, and Lucas Blakely will be looking to make himself run long, take the advantage in the latter stages of the race.
Yeah, Tomek Parajishub is going for a very aggressive strat, opting for the softs at the very start, hence why he's managing to really move his way through the field. Has just managed to get past Freddie Rasmussen, who now moves down to 13th. Up at the front though, Barry Burraman unperturbed, managed to get past Berejnay and is trying to cruise on. Would expect him to do so on the softs, with Berejnay in behind on the mediums. Josh Edo looking to perhaps get a little closer. He is on the soft rubber, as now Berejnay briefly took the fastest lap. Duncan Hofland has taken it himself. Lucas Blakely getting close to the back of Hofland once again. Blakely, you could argue, on the OP strat right now. He's the highest placed runner on the hard tyres and is trying to gap, and I think he has managed to gap Otis Lawrence, so no DRS for Lawrence.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic gamble here from Lucas Blakely. He may have lost positions in the opening stint, but as you said, he's dropped that DRS advantage to Otis Lawrence behind him. He now can sit with Duncan Hoffland. He can sit with Jake Benham as they continue through the laps. Keep the DRS from the drivers in front, harvest the battery even. And as we go through, he will have that advantage later on in the race.
Certainly will. Otis Lawrence coming through turn 8 now. Hard on the brakes. Back on the throttle once more. Needs to try and brake back to within a second, but it's flitted outwards to 1.2, which is not ideal. And we'll leave him up on a plate for Ishmael Fassi, who is just behind, who really ignited his time as a professional F1 sim racing driver. So we see some wheel banging further back. Brendan Lee also coming into the mix of things as well. Tomek Parajic on those soft tyres, moving past Alvaro Carreton and takes P11 away from the Spaniard. So the pole on the rise once again. But remember, he will have to box earlier than anyone on the hards, which might see his advantage slip away.
Yep, is Juan Williams on the rise. Juan Williams having to defend for his life at the moment. Of course, the V-Carb getting past Alvaro Carreton there for P11, as you mentioned. The tyre situation will come into strategy later on in the race. But I'll tell you what, Duncan Hoffland it has to be eager to make moves here now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a battle for third as well. Enter Josh Ido for second place. He's on the softs, challenging the Hungarian Danny Berejné. It's Ido into second. Soft runners now first and second. Berejné in third, with Hoffland also managing to move up to fourth. So the Dutchman also on the attack and needs to on this compounded tyre.
Yeah, he's got to make them work whilst he has the tyre advantage over the medium runners surrounding him. Lucas Blakely will just be thankful that he can hold on to this pack as they go through the Grand Prix. The Scuderia Ferrari continuing to lead, but the pressure from the Alpine could be ever increasing as there's a little bit of a kick out from both Josh Ido and Danny Berejné for P2s and P3.
Yeah, licking his lips will be Duncan Hoffland at the sight of that. Berejné just stepping out slightly, that rear end coming loose, coming through turn 8. Burremand unperturbed, in control of his own destiny here. 5/10 clear of Josh Ido, though Ido is on the same tyre. The big question is, how much of that tyre has Ido used himself? They come up the hill through turn 13. Barry Burremand will coast on through. Obviously, don't be concerned necessarily by some of the lockups, guys. That is quite a sensitive concern that does happen in recent editions of the F1 game. Not necessarily the case that the drivers are locking up. Just a feature from the spectators' side of things as we now watch them come through the final two corners and hustle down the long straight. The gap between Ishmael Fassi, who's managed to overtake Otis Lawrence here at this point, has now extended again. 2.3 now 2.4 as they head down in towards turn 1. Still Burremand in charge. Otis Lawrence now on the attack, looking to try and take his place back from Fassi. Has done. Fassi back down to 8th.
Yeah, very tactical move there, I feel, from Ishmael Fassi. Allows Otis Lawrence through, and he knows the battle is not his. Tamas Gal retiring in the pit lane there, deciding there's nothing further he can do after the contact he had on race start.
Yeah, Brendan Lee, two-time champion. Tiana Watmere in front of him here. There's a slight little bit of contact coming through the first sector. As we now saw a move there further up, Duncan Hoffland managing to go wheel to wheel with Danny Berejné, obviously challenging over a podium place. Hoffland on those soft tyres and trying to exercise his right to get him past Berejné, given the fact that he is on the faster tyre. You would think in this opening stint, not managing to pull off the move. Berejné doing enough to withstand the pressure. Blakely in danger, however, because he's on hards, now approaching a second out. But the alleviating matter in this fight for Blakely is that he could very easily find that gap back when the hards suddenly come into play.
Very, very true. Of course, the medium runner, Jake Benham, just behind him, edging that McLaren through the corners as we continue through. The gap up towards Duncan Hoffland. Too great for DRS assistance this time around for Lucas Blakely. So maybe some tactical games will start to come in it. But it could be a lead for the move. A lead for the move. Oh, well, it's getting muddled up. Apologies.
Well, there was a move. Benham moving ahead of Lucas Blakely. Ishmael Fassi also on the attack of Otis Lawrence. Moves back past the Welshman. Spaniard once again takes up P7. Was Fassi on the hards as well. Very much the same as Lucas Blakely, but Blakely has the advantage of that near enough 2.3 second advantage at this stage. Or shall I say 2.5 second advantage here at this point. Berejné getting close to the back of Josh Ido this time. Be right on board with the Hungarian. Maximising his angle, coming through towards turn 8 and back on the power once more. Hoffland getting closer, as you'd expect. as they now burst down through turns 9 and in towards turns 10, nose to tail. The gap very much minimal as they now make their way down the straight. Jake Benham a little slow getting off the line, coming out of turn 10 with Blakely urging closer and closer, and Blakely's done an almighty job of closing that gap from a second behind. He's now 2/10 away, and on those hard tyres, maybe they're finally kicking in here, TK.
I think they are. We've got enough of the way through this Grand Prix. Those hard tyres definitely up to temperature and almost towards that crossover period with Jake Benham in front. I'd be starting to get a little bit concerned. The Mercedes will be looking for some relief from Duncan Hoffland up in P4, maybe even his teammate Danny, who finds himself in P3 at the moment. But Danny will be so concerned for his own race. He won't necessarily know what's going on between the Mercedes and McLaren further behind him. Lucas Blakely taking the position back there.
Yeah, and Josh Ito taking the race lead. Barry Burman forfeiting it. Duncan Hoffland into third. So Hoffland jumps up ahead of Danny Berejnay. Fantastic move from Blakely now to elevate himself higher than Jake Benham, and is now only 1.4 behind Danny Berejnay. And if I'm taking a look at the deltas from the previous laps, Blakely starting to lap in the 1:30.8 this time, and that's only a tenth off what Ito did in that last lap. The hards are coming in closer and closer, TK, as Hoffland now coming in towards turn 8. Wow, he was on the rear of Barry Burman. Could have plumped for the move coming through turn 8, but no sense in that in the opening stint.
Yeah, all three soft runners now find themselves one amongst each other. Of course, Josh leading from Barry, from Duncan, the medium runners of Danny just behind him. But Lucas Blakely once again in a position to take this race by controlling grip, as the soft runners will have to pit that much earlier. Duncan Hoffland notably up 10 positions from where he once began.
Yeah, he definitely is that. And I must say, Duncan Hoffland putting in an incredible stint here. Of course, like I said, starting P12 as well was Duncan Hoffland. He's now up into third. The Aston Martin currently holds the fastest lap as well, so nothing wrong with his pace right now. He's faster than Barry Burman and Josh Ito out on track right now, and is right on their rear wing as they cruise down through towards turn 1. Barry Burman looking to take his lead back, does so. Breezes past Josh Ito. Duncan Hoffland looking to do the same as he looks to go on the outside, coming through towards turn 1. The Aston Martin answering back brilliantly once more, and pushes back Josh Ito into third, and in the grips of Danny Berejnay as Jarno Opmeer now looks to go on the attack of Ismail Fassi and does so. So Jarno on the hard tyres, they're finding their groove. Could it be the case now as we see Lucas Blakely on the tail of the front four? The hards now coming into play well and truly this time.
Yeah, Lucas Blakely in a prime position here, although Jake Benham has been dropped. He's in a bit of no man's land at present. Jarno Opmeer starting to catch up. The gap 1.6 seconds. He's got 1.7 seconds to relief up the road from the likes of Lucas Blakely, but the Mercedes could be out to dry here when Jarno Opmeer gets in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, certainly will. 3/10 now, 4/10 of the realm between Hoffland and Burman at the front of the order as they burst in towards turn 11. Coming up the hill, Josh Ito just waiting in the wings in behind. Blakely all over the back of Danny Berejnay as they climb up now through turns 12, turn 13. The trip down this next straight, which will tee up the run through the final 2 corners. Lucas Blakely taking the F1 Sim Racing World Championship not too long ago, was a PSGL champion around that same time in season 33. But, of course, could not regain it or go back-to-back like his fellow competitors Jarno Opmeer and Brendan Lee did, but one championship certainly, I'm sure, was a proud moment for him. Of course, his family all support him, very much behind the young Scotsman, who has since gone on to do great things in real life racing. A GP4 race winner already this campaign, but is now chasing down Danny Berejnay coming through turn 4. Barry Burman still holding on, but you get the feeling the gap's now started to come cascading down, and I would not count out Jarno Opmeer here at this point. He's now on the tail of Jake Benham, who is now falling away on those medium tyres, so whether you're on the softs or the mediums right now, no real benefit. It's Blakely now charges past Berejnay. That was brilliant.
Fantastic move from the Papaya McLaren. He's now up to P4. He's got the Alpine in his sights, and those hard tyres really starting to come into a league of their own. DRS well and truly open as they charge down towards turn number 11 here, the long left-hander. And I think Lucas Blakely knows his time is now.
I think he does. Lap 9 of 29. 20 laps of magic still to come. And Duncan Hoffland He's looking to add a little bit of magic of his own here in the Aston Martin. Chasing down after Barry Burremand. And looks like he could be on the precipice of taking the race lead here when we move our way into lap 10 of 29. Barry Burremand waiting in the wings. The top three all on soft tyres. Very soon they will be considering perhaps entering the pits as now they make their way down the straight. Barry Burremand moving to the inside as they burst down this long straight, and Duncan Hofland on the attack around the outside. The Dutchman, Aston Martin Academy development driver over the last few seasons, now with a full-time seat here in PSGL, and takes the race lead here in round one in this opening stint. Burremand down into second, Josh Ito third, Blakely though hunting them down in fourth.
Absolutely, this top four pack now working as a group, so to speak. Duncan Hofland, who forever has been the bridesmaid, as well and truly the bride at the moment here in Bahrain. The Aston Martin leads in the skylights as the lights beam down on this Bahraini circuit. Barry will not want to let that go though. He got pole position last time out here in Bahrain, so he knows a fast lap when he sees one around this circuit.
Yeah, and Lucas Blakely with a absolutely fantastic move once again, diving up the inside, coming out of turn 8, and he pulled it off through turns 9 and 10. The former F1 Sim Racing World Champion back home to roost here in this opening stint on the hard tyres, no less. They are well and truly well within now. A 1:30.7 was his last lap. The last lap for Duncan Hofland and Barry Burremand, a 1:31. Blakely is flying.
He certainly is. If those wings were any larger, he'd be taking off here in Bahrain. But for now, he's well and truly stuck to the track. He's got the Scuderia and the Aston Martin just in front of him. And he knows this race is his, not only to win, but to control from the next couple of laps. Will we see someone diving into the pits nice and early? Not this time around from our top five.
Yeah, no, at the moment, still Hofland, Burremand, Blakely, Ido, Berejne. Barry Burremand now goes for the lead. Here goes Blakely, though. He's going up the inside. He's going to take Hofland for P2. I thought he was going to go for the double. Hofland now looking to switch back once more, but Blakely consolidates that second place. Fantastic move there from the Scotsman once again. This time on the attack of his former McLaren teammate, Barry Burremand. Can't find it through turn 4, but I get the feeling a trip through turn 8 could be on the cards here on this very lap. Lap 11 of 29. Blakely ascending again.
Yeah, Blakely is absolutely starving at the moment. He wants one more title, and he knows this year might be his year. If he can start off well here in Bahrain, he wants to move on Barry Burremand as we head into turns 9 and 10, the tight left-hander. And I wondered if there's going to be a dive down the inside, but not this time around. Lucas, he knows he can be patient. There's DRS zones to assist him 3 times over this circuit, and it's just a matter of if, not when, for Lucas Blakely.
Well, you have to wonder as well when the first pit stops are going to arise, and no doubt Barry Burramand's probably thinking about that right now. 10 laps on those softs, and Blakely is starting to find his groove. He is just in behind within 2.5 tenths of a second. It could be well within 2 tenths by the time they head down the long straight, but the grip definitely favouring those on the hards right now as we come in towards the, well, over the first third of racing here so far. Very nearly the first half is now. Barry Burremand, does he opt for the box? I think he does. Yes, he does. Into the pits as well comes Danny. No, not Danny Berejne. Burremand Hofland. Fassi moves up to third. Further back, Barry Burremand in. We got a sea of cars coming in now off the soft tyres. They're going to be swapping on, no less, to their new compound. Hard tyres for Burremand, as well as some of the other big players as well alike. Josh Ito also swapping onto the hards. Jake Benham as well. So this is crunch time. It's key, obviously, for Blakely to make hay while the sun shines, and Otmir, now in third, will look to do the same.
He certainly will. He's got a gap to close, though, before he considers that early box. Danny Berejne and Lucas Blakely stand just in front of him. Interestingly enough, though, Jake Benham, he started on the medium tyre, early box for himself, and he's now taking the hards until the end, maybe lacking somewhat on tyre management for that Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's going to be a challenge. Tyre life and degradation is always one of the biggest challenges where it comes to F1 sim racing. Very similar, of course, where it comes to real life. Obviously, it's one of the biggest challenges even for a real life driver. Alvaro Carreton hunting down after Otis Lawrence is going to go up the inside. Smoothly does it as he looks to rise up through turn 11. The Spaniard doing a stellar job once more. He's been a long time servant for Williams now, and fellow countryman to his teammate Ismael Fassi, the two Spaniards working together. They did a stellar job in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship last season. Like we said earlier on, Ismael Fassi lighting up in that series, and definitely coming of age and showing that once more. As into the pits comes Danny Berejne, TK.
Yeah, those mediums really starting to fall off almost as considerably as the soft tyres that we were seeing. And Brendan Lee up to P2. He's past Jarno Opmeer down into turn number 1. Could we see a return for the Sauberman now as he's trying to chase down Blakely for the lead of this race?
Yeah, and also we got some wheel bashing here between Thomas Ronhaar and Nicolas Longuet. Remember back when Barry Burman took his PSGL title back in season 33. Oh, wow. Big moment coming through turn 4. I think that might have been a glitch in the system. But at that very title run in season 33 at this circuit for the grand finale, Ronhaar looked to have the championship in the bag, but after some driving that was very suspect in accordance to PSGL, he was lambasted with a penalty, and instead the title swung in the favour of Barry Burman, and Nicolas Longuet was trying to pull out his own tactics to try and slow Ronhaar down during that final race to give his teammate Barry Burman a good chance of fighting for the title, and they ultimately succeeded, albeit not necessarily on the track but in the stewards room. Now once again they are side by side here once again at Sakir. This time it's lap 13 of 29 here in round 1 in season 37.
It is fantastic to see everyone racing so close together, of course, and the history behind it all. Will it come to blows later on in the Grand Prix? That's the question I know we're certainly asking in the commentary box, but Freddie Rasmussen will be their next target. Thomas Ronhaar and Nicolas Longuet in 7th and 8th respectively. Of course, the hard tyres serving them well so far.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer now on the attack of Brendan Lee, moves to the inside, heading down in towards turn 1, and the Flying Dutchman showing exactly why he is that. Moves into second and now needs to start laying down some burner laps. 1:31.055 was his last lap. He's got a gap to find of 3.6 seconds on Lucas Blakely. Remember, we've still got all those on the hards that have already done 13 laps on that compound. They've still got to pit, remember. Barry Burman has boxed onto a fresh set of hard tyres. The gap has remained stagnant at around 13.6 seconds, so still some work to be done, but Jarno Opmeer, his main concern has got to be to close up to Lucas Blakely.
Almost certainly here that Alpine will know what his job is now. Lucas Blakely, he doesn't want to allow the McLaren to run off into the distance. If I can bring your attention slightly further back in the grid order, Thomas Ronhaar and Nicolas Longuet, and of course Freddie Rasmussen as well, having a fantastic battle for P6 here. Ronhaar is not standing on ceremony. He wants some free positions here as the tyres start to kick into gear.
And Rasmussen can't afford to get in the mix of this battle because he is really in danger of losing out in terms of DRS. It flitted above a second briefly coming through turn 11 and was very fortunate to hold on to it. Thomas Ronhaar running out extraordinarily wide there, and Nicolas Longuet still very much in the wheel tracks. Brendan Lee getting close to the back of Jarno Opmeer once more. So they're going to have to try and work together here. DRS swap to try and close the gap in between Opmeer and Blakely. It's going to be easier said than done, however, as now Brendan Lee moves into second. Further back, his teammate, though, under pressure as Nicolas Longuet looks to now squeeze Thomas Ronhaar for that P7 position. They're going to run side by side. Freddie Rasmussen, all intents and purposes, shutting the door on Nicolas Longuet as they now rush down towards turn 4.
Yeah, Freddie positioning his car absolutely spectacularly. They're not allowing Ronhaar or Longuet the room to try and make a move down towards turn 6. Sorry, to P6 here. But yeah, Freddie, he's a well-known champion. He knows what to do in these sort of situations. He's going to play his game, and he's not going to allow the Sauber or the Ferrari behind him to put him off his game.
Yeah, just want to say as well, Barry Burman in the last lap, lapping 0.6 of a second faster than Lucas Blakely in the last lap, so he is now starting to put together the faster delta, and you can see that that gap has come down between Burman and Prejnader, so it's into the 12.5s as opposed to the 13.5s we saw a lap or two ago. So it definitely looks like the tyres are starting to go in favour of those that boxed onto the fresher hard rubber. So Burman on the attack, and he's very nearly broken within 12 seconds as it stands. He should be on 11 soon enough. Freddie Rasmussen once again flittering outside of the DRS detection point. 1 second, now comes back into 9/10. Wow, he's right on the bubble here, TK.
He's got to be very careful. It's a cautious game he's playing here in Bahrain as we cross half race distance in this Grand Prix. Of course, the opening round of PCF1, and it looks like Jarno Opmeer going for a move on Brendan Lee. to retake P2. A nice easy move down the inside into turn 1.
Yeah, fantastic move for Jarno Watmere, needed to be done as well. There was a little bit of contact between he and Ismail Fassi alike. Thomas Ronhaar now battling with Freddie Rasmussen. Oh, Rasmussen going off wide. Is actually ghosted as well. It's allowed Nicolas Longuet to go on through. I can't imagine that's going to be taken lightly by the Great Dane, and he's lost out now through turn 4 to Nicolas Longuet. Extraordinary scenes coming through turn 1. A big moment, but Ronhaar up to 6.
Yeah, an audacious send by the Sauber there, but it paid off in his dues. He made the move, he committed to it. And there might have been a couple of ghosting, implementing factors in there, but nonetheless, Thomas Ronhaar up to P6, and it's Freddie Rasmussen who's dropped 4 positions in that kerfuffle.
He certainly has. Ronhaar in managing to pull off a fantastic move. Needed to be done as well. There was contact on the escape. You have to question whether there was something in that. Of course, Freddie trying to shut the door, coming through turns 2 and 3. But I'm sure we'll get some greater insight than that. Obviously, the drivers have the ability to report incidents. They will be working with their teams on that too. So no doubt we might see some things happen behind the scenes post-race. And obviously, make sure you stay tuned to the PSGL social media channels for all the updates concerning race results. Lucas Blakely not boxing just yet. We're coming on to lap 16 now, or lap 16 on those tyres. 17 laps now, or lap 17 about to begin. There's now Brendan Lee goes on the attack of Jarno Watmere, the two-time champions, once again side by side with Brendan Lee, this time having the upper hand. Tom Manley coming into the scrap further back and has actually managed to jump Thomas Ronhaar, and that has also seen Nicolas Longuet move up to P6. So Manley, of course, Rasmussen's teammate, also a driver that lit things up in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship last season, also an F1 Esports Challengers champion, TK.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a fantastic, couple of seasons here for Tom Manley. He now finds himself in P7. He's up past Thomas Ronhaar, and he will have to switch from offence to defence rather quickly as he finds himself sandwiched between Nicolas and Thomas here for this Grand Prix. And what's going through his mind right now? Is he going to attack? Is he going to defend? He knows he's got fast drivers surrounding him, but of course, he, in his own right, is one of those fast drivers.
Looking at the Delta now, it's looking far more paramount that Barry Burraman is going to obviously take the lead of this race as soon as the pit stops unfold. He's just broken to within 10 seconds just now as we watch the cars here from the battle between P6 downwards, making our way through turns 12, and then a trip down towards turns 13, 14, and now 15 as well very shortly. Blakely still in control and in charge. Is he going to look to pit? Not yet. Happy to take the car as far as he can. I would imagine they'll think about boxing this lap. Would you imagine, TK, if they're looking to swap onto the softs?
I'd imagine so. If you're looking to run the softs to the end of the race, around lap 18, 19, there's probably a peak moment. And of course, it won't allow Jarno, Brendan, Ishmael, or Avaro to try and catch you as much as they would have liked. Although that time has been coming down ever so slightly over the last few laps.
Yeah, Brendan Lee losing out to second from Jarno Watmere. Danny Berejnet moves up to 14th place as well, so managing to get past Duncan Hofland. Of course, remember, these drivers are occupying that hard tyre second stint strategy. Of course, technically your net leaders in this race. Barry Burraman leading the train of cars that have already boxed and heading through turn 4 now. And Danny Berejnet with a very important overtake, basically, because Duncan Hofland was obviously holding on to his position in P14. Berejnet, though, taking it back and ultimately defending through turn 8 once again. I'm liking this from Duncan Hofland. He's coming into play, TK.
Yeah, very smart driving here from the Aston Martin driver. He's just going to sit behind Barry. He's going to sit behind, he's going to sit behind Barry, just wait it out, let him drive himself through, and of course, allow Danny Berejnet to just pull him through as well. Use that DRS to his advantage, charge the battery up, and as they charge down, the likes of Fabrizio Donoso as well, he can wait his time out. Lots of laps left in this Grand Prix.
Certainly is. Riding on board with Ismail Fassi. Got very close to the back of Brendan Lee right there. Jarno Watmere. Oh, Brendan Lee with a big call. Comes into the pits, and he's not alone because Alvaro Caraton has joined him. So this is the first stops now that we're seeing from those that started on the hard tyres. So all eyes now on Barry Burraman, who blasts past and easily moves his way through, but he's going to be under pressure because here comes Danny Berejnet as they come down in towards turn 1. It's Berejnet who takes the net lead of the race, removes it from Barry Burraman. The Mercedes back on top as he was at the end of qualifying.
Yeah, that's the patience game coming in there. He waited for the opportunity. He used the DRS, and now those pit stops have started to happen in front of him. He wants that commanding route through this Grand Prix with 10.5 laps of racing to go here, George.
Certainly does. Danny Berejny moving up the order. 8.7 now away from Philip Brejnader. Surely he's going to dwarf that Haas as soon as Brejnader comes into the box. Blakely still, though, out in front, and still with plenty of work to do. Ismail Fassi also with a bit of work to do, 3.3. Basically anything below Blakely right now is in trouble, but don't forget they will have the faster tyres to close out the race. 10 laps to go here at Bahrain. There's Lucas Blakely now. Surely has to respond. Nevertheless, no doubt he would have boxed anyway here on lap 19. Essentially, this is the sweet spot for moving on to the softer compounded tyres, and indeed in comes Blakely now. So the leader comes in to box, no doubt. No, Fassi staying out, and as does Jana Watmir. Strange strategies throughout the grid, and the two Red Bulls also staying out here.
There was a small moment of hesitation from Ismail Fassi. He looked to move into the pit lane, suddenly staying out, not crossing that white line. That's the all-important part of this, but Jana Watmir taking the lead of this Grand Prix. Ishmael just further behind him, but Thomas Ronhart up to P3.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, taking the lead out of this bunch, Barry Burremand, now once again net leader, takes it away from Danny Berejny. We're getting ready for the final frontier. 9 laps to go. If you include this one, well, it'd be 10 laps if you include this one, but looking at this current circumstance, these two, Barry Burremand and Danny Berejny, essentially DRS swapping because they can now eat away at that delta. And this is all about negating the strategy of all those on the faster rubber, TK.
Absolutely correct. You've got to think ahead. You've got to prep for what those drivers will be doing. Of course, they will be on that softer rubber to see this race out. Of course, you'll be on the hard tyre. There's a considerable delta when it comes to the two compounds put side by side. So if you can get yourself ahead enough, allow that delta to be almost incomprehensible when we reach those final stages of this Grand Prix, you're on solid ground.
Yeah, certainly are. Jana Watmir now making his way down through towards the final couple of corners, being pursued by Ishmael Fassi. Thomas Ronhart, 2.9 down in third. Tom Manley just hovering in behind with Freddie Rasmussen, his teammate. Jana Watmir, no surprises, coming straight into the pits, but surely has lost a lot of ground to those that are on the newer hard tyres. And Barry Burremand, who's already boxed, net leader of this race, will surely, confidently move his way down towards turn 1, but being pursued now by one Danny Berejny, who goes in on the attack and takes the lead, essentially, of this Grand Prix. Freddie Rasmussen still to come in. 7.9 seconds between Berejny and Rasmussen, as now Rasmussen comes out of turn 3. Burremand follows him down towards turn 4.
Yeah, what a battle we have got on our hands. These front three chasing each other down, not allowing any inch of breathing room in the final few laps of this Grand Prix. I still think Duncan Hofland in a fantastic position here. He can chase these two through the twists and the turns, use the DRS to keep up with the front runners, and then strike in the last couple of laps, the last 5.4 kilometres of this Grand Prix, and we might see an Aston Martin victory here, George.
We might not just see an Aston Martin victory, we could see a McLaren victory, because I'm looking at Blakely right now, 5th place. He's on fresh soft tyres. He's got plenty of life in them to take them to the end, and he's only 2.7 away from Duncan Hofland. So you never know. Anything can happen in the dire straits of this race. Berejny already amassing 8 laps, though it's going to be a huge ask for Blakely. But if he strings together the laps that he has been showing, of course, in prior runnings, this will be his first fast lap, essentially, on new soft tyres. So let's wait and see how it stacks. Barry Burremand now looking to hunt down Danny Berejny. Freddie Rasmussen finally in for his pit stop. So now, as we watch him come in, Danny Berejny will cross the line and take the lead of the race in absolute. Here comes, though, Barry Burremand, the Iranian, around the outside coming through turn 1, swaps over with Berejny, takes the lead away from him. Duncan Hofland still sitting in third, and I must say, a phenomenal performance from Duncan Hofland here today. First round, first race of season 37, and he already shows that he belongs here.
Yeah, fantastic entrance into this season. He stamped his belonging well and truly on season 37.
Ido.
Oh, crash further back.
Josh Ido coming in. He's retired in the pit lane. So Josh Ido out of the race. Of course, no safety cars this campaign. They're running without safety cars, so it will not disrupt the affair here out on track. And there is a car that's pulled over to the inside. It's not Jana Otmir, but there is a scrap happening behind Otmir here. It's Benham and Fassi.
It is indeed. Fantastic battle we're seeing between the the Williams and the Mercedes as we go into the left-hander of turn 10. They're practically nose to tail here with Otis Lawrence leading the group through. And who would have thought this? Nicholas Longe wanting to make the move with the DRS assistance. And it will be Jana Otmir that follows him through.
Yep, certainly will. Moves up to 8th place. Jana Otmir. Otis Lawrence down in 9th. Fassi down in 10th. Jake Benham is going to be fodder for all those in behind. He's on 10-lap old hards and already being moved up on by the softs. In comes Wilson Hughes down the inside on the soft tyres. They make contact coming through turns 12 and 13. Thomas Ronhar, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That has not gone down well for him. Otmir on the attack once again, this time trying to close down on Nicholas Longe as they rush down towards turn 1. A move from the lead further up as well. Danny Berridge now having a look at the inside of Barry Burman. Can't quite find it, but the Flying Dutchman moves up to P7 and Fassi follows him through for P8.
All this battling at the lead of the race is allowing the likes of Lucas Blakely, Brendan Lee to try and get involved as Lucas Blakely switches to the outside as he hangs it around the outside of Duncan Hoffman's here, the soft tyre, proving to be no match for the decaying hards of the Aston Martin driver. Lucas Blakely up to P3.
Yeah, brilliant stuff here from Lucas Blakely, and I did say he would be a factor, and on these soft tyres, he's going to be rapid. He's on the tail now of Danny Berejnay, and I must say, this looks like it could be fundamental. It could be brilliant. He's going to try around the outside here, coming through the tricky turn 10 section. Could this be move of the race? It is move of the race. Lucas Blakely around a very treacherous turn 10 takes P2 away from Danny Berejnay, who started on pole and now pursues after Barry Burman, his former McLaren teammate, when they would go to take the championship only 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, rounding the penultimate few corners through 13 down towards 14 and 15 to finish off lap 23 and 29. It could all be said and done in the next DRS zone, but Danny Berejnay not far back at all. The DRS will assist them as they head down towards turn number 1, but Barry Burman could be a bit of a sitting duck here for the Papaya McLaren. The DRS wing open. Which way will he go? Will it be inside? Will it be outside? He goes to the inside now of the Ferrari car. Will it be 3 wide with Danny Berejnay as well, who looks for a dive down the inside? They go wheel to wheel, but Lucas Blakely takes the lead of the race.
Brilliant job from Lucas Blakely. They went 3 wide in towards turn 1, but the champion from season 31 took it all. Danny Berejnay tried his luck. He knew that was his one opportunity. Of course, Blakely on the faster rubber, the soft tyres, the red banded tyre that will, of course, grant him that extra little bit of grip. Aside from the hards that now have to sit and watch and lie in wait as they watch Blakely curtail away with this race lead. But there is still a long way to go. 5 laps of magic still to come, and Blakely in control.
Yeah, Blakely's job's not over there yet, though. He's got to try and defend, hold off the Mercedes, the Ferrari, who will be chomping at the bit to try and take that lead from him. He's got to preserve the tyres as well. It's a long 5 laps round here. 25 kilometres of racing still to go for the Papaya car. And he's got to just keep that mentality, keep absolute perfection, because, of course, penalties might disrupt this party.
Well, I must say it was a well-primed move from Lucas Blakely, a well-timed performance, a well-drilled performance. He started on the hards, excelled on the hards in the opening stint, and now that strategy, the tyre whispering, the speed, the pace, it's rewarded him with a race lead now, 1.7 clear of Berejnay, who's now under attack. We're going to go 3 wide again. Enter Brendan Lee, who's going to try and do the double. Does do the double. Moves up into second. Down goes Berejnay. He's down to 5th. Caraton. Where has this come from? 4th now. Out on this track here on lap 25. Caraton, a man on a mission, and is now diving down the inside of Barry Burman. Brilliant move from Caraton, who is now on the podium here in PSGL round 1.
That Williams has truly found some pace in the latter stages of this race. The soft tyre really starting to fire up for Alvaro Caraton. And now Brendan Lee will be next in the crosshairs of that Williams down towards 9 and 10. This Kick Sauber could be a bit of a sitting duck once again. The Williams has turned its engine up to 11.
He has indeed. And I must say, a spirited performance from one Brendan Lee. We've often wondered when it might occur, where he might challenge for the big podium places, much like he did while league racing back in 2017 and 2018. And seemingly the form has returned somewhat. Of course, we'd be very much used to battling against Blakely with their times in F1 Sim Racing in its World Championship and in PSGL League Racing alike. But this still offers an opportunity to Brendan Lee and Alvaro Caraton. If they can get closer to Blakely, it's going to take some work to do it. Bear in mind, Blakely does have a lap fresher tyres than both Lee and Caraton here at this point, but Caraton nonetheless is going to try and overtake Brendan Lee for second. Surely he'll get it done with the power of DRS. He does as well. They have to work together here, Lee and Caraton, if they want to make a statement here in this race, because obviously Blakely doesn't have DRS, but Caraton and Lee can make use of it.
Very much so. If Caraton and Lee can work together, get that slipstream effect,
comes
the DRS working. And you're absolutely right. Jano Watmir has got past Duncan Hoffland up for P6 now, the soft tyres for absolutely everybody, finding their pace around here in Bahrain.
Yeah, and Otmir has found his pace as well. He's closed up right to the back of this train of cars, but needs to get past all those on the hard tyres immediately. It has to be done now. Can't afford to lie in wait. Now is the time to strike. A podium is still on the table here for the Flying Dutchman. Second and third is right in front of him here.
Yep, absolutely right. If we can say anything from the start of this broadcast carrying through to right now, do not count out Jano Watmir for one of those podium positions.
No, not at all. Longe moving ahead of Duncan Hoffland as well. Unfortunately for Duncan Hoffland, the strategy has not worked in his favour, but you cannot question his raw pace, talent and ability. Longe just too good in that equation. And taking the title in F1 Sim Racing with Ferrari last campaign alongside Barry Burman, his teammates sitting in fourth, both Ferraris on differing strategies, as you would expect, obviously just to avoid as well the potential of a double stack. Of course, many of the drivers look to avoid that anyway, regardless of whether they're on the same strategy or not. Brendan Lee now looking to try and challenge for that second place once again. Will move into second, lap 27. Next lap will be the penultimate one. Brendan Lee moving ahead of Caraton and now rushes down through towards turn 4. Looks like we've had an issue out on track. Yellow flags coming down the long straight. Quite the scrap by the looks of it, with Jake Benham trying to hold off all the cars in behind him.
Yeah, it looked like Freddie Rasmussen just had a bit of an issue down the long pit straight. He's dropped considerably off the pace here. You can see the gap ever increasing towards Fabrizio Donoso, but Otis Lawrence and Jake Benham going side by side for the last of the points-paying positions here. The V-Carb and the Mercedes still wheel to wheel as we go through the twists and turns of Bahrain. It's a fantastic move from Jake Benham up to P10. But will Otis Lawrence try again? Almost immediately, no, he won't. Further up the field, Jano and Danny Beresne still going side by side, George.
Mercedes teammates from last season go wheel to wheel, but Otmir has his number coming through turn 10, and now through turn 11. Fassi might do the same. They move up. Yes, they do. The Williams now ascends here. The artist Ismail Fassi on the softs, breezing past Danny Beresne on the hard tyres. Otmir now bidding to get past Barry Burman. This should be textbook. Should he get the move done heading down the long straight? Next lap, penultimate one, TK.
Yep, something we've seen time and time again is Jano Watmir, and this time around he has the tyre advantage as he rounds the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. Is going to be Alpine versus Scuderia Ferrari down into turn number 1. And will we see classic Otmir dive down the inside? He's got the DRS open. He moves to the inside. It might be a little bit late on the brakes. It is indeed down the inside. He goes. There's contact between himself and Alvaro Caraton. They've both caused contact. Both have ghosted. Alvaro holding on, but Jano down to P6.
A misjudgment from Jano Otmir there, late on the brakes and very nearly taking out as well the car that's out in front of him. Alvaro Caraton, Burman now on the attack as well. Chaos erupts here on the penultimate lap as wheel to wheel Burman as well as Fassi go. Fassi manages to take the full-on opportunity. We've lost Freddie Rasmussen, but Ismail Fassi moves up to 4th place, and now Williams 3rd and 4th in the opening round of the championship, and we've lost Rasmussen.
Wow, what a fantastic final lap we're seeing here as Jano Watmir tries to get Barry Burman straight back as they go into turn 10. He's got the move well and done. The call was sent to Jano Watmir's phone. He hung up, he refused to answer, and now he's at P5. He has Ismail Fassi just up the road.
Certainly does. Longe now has moved up to 6. He's breezed ahead of his teammate and now hunting down Jano Watmir. It could have been oh so good for Jano Otmir. He had 2 lap pressure tyres than Brendan Lee and Alvaro Caraton. He could have brought the fight on the final lap to them both. He could have brought the fight on the penultimate lap, but it wasn't to be. He made contact with the back of Alvaro Caraton's Williams, and I must say Caraton is going to have issues of his own because Fassi is on faster rubber. Blakely still out in front. He's in control. He's 2.1 seconds clear. Further back, Danny Beresne moving past fellow driver on the hard tyres, Barry Buraman in towards turn 1, Berejnay moving up into 7th.
Yeah, top 6 drivers now all on that fresh soft rubber to see them through to the end of the Grand Prix. Lap 29 of 29 here, George. Blakely still with that commanding lead, but the question is here, what will the two Williams do? Will it be Alvaro Carreton, or will it be Ismail Fassi seeing the podium in this race?
Well, team orders, could they be a factor at this very early stage? Surely not. We're only on round 1. There's no championships up for grabs. They're going to be left to fight it out together. Or will they bring it home in stereo, essentially? Alvaro Carreton 3rd, Ismail Fassi in 4th. Brendan Lee, with, I must say, a tremendous performance to keep Carreton in behind, but he's got to defend for his life here because this is the final run, really, with DRS, so that Carreton can make the move for second place, but he can't right now. Don't forget to vote for your driver of the day in the live chat, everybody. Get your votes in for who you think is your driver of the day. Lucas Blakely, who has been absolutely sensational. The opening strategy was sublime. He opened his account up on the hard tyres, pursued upwards, defended his place, and managed to bring it home in the second stint on fresher soft rubber. A race winner in GB4 in his championship. He needs the budget to race in real life, but no one stops him being a winner virtually. It's Lucas Blakely, the winner here at Bahrain, the Bahrain Grand Prix, here at PSGL season 37. An outright stellar performance from the Scot. Brendan Lee in 2nd, with Alvaro Carreton in 3rd, Williams 3 and 4.
Williams will be absolutely delighted with that race performance. They've stamped their mark well and truly on this season, but let's just talk about Blakely for a second. He had a fantastic race strategy starting in P3. It was a pull away from pole position, and he made that move stick. He sat behind our race leaders on the hard tyre, and when the soft rubber came to him in the second stint of this Grand Prix, he absolutely licked the stamp and sent it.
Well, his father is a musician, a very talented musician as well, but plucking the strings of success here tonight is Lucas Blakely, and oh boy, doesn't he deserve it. A champion here in PSGL back in season 31. He's victorious once more here in season 37. And losing out on the title last season, I know for a fact that last season hurt him. He had a real rough time, but he dons the McLaren badge and the colours passionately and refuses to let them go, and will be back fighting this season. This is a great start for Lucas Blakely. Started on the front row after qualifying and brings it home one step higher. And I'll tell you what, it was such an extraordinary performance. But let's take you through the results. Lucas Blakely is your victor. Brendan Lee in 2nd place. Alvaro Carreton 3rd. Ismail Fassi in 4th. Jarno Otmir 5th. Nicholas Longuet in 6th place. Danny Berejnay 7th. Barry Buraman, I just want to say, Blakely, I don't think started on the front row, actually. I do apologise. Barry Buraman 8th. Duncan Hoffland in 9th. Otis Lawrence in 10th. Jake Benham in 11th place. Philip Prejnada in 12th. Tom Manley 13th. Thomas Ronhart 14th. We'll take you down to the bottom 6 as well. Fabrizio Donoso 15th, Wilson Hughes 16th, Freddie Rasmussen 17th, Josh Edo 18th, Tomek Paradzic in 19th, Tamas Gal 20th. Bear in mind, the bottom 3 DNFing from the race, with Freddie Rasmussen losing out with a couple of laps. What an extraordinary first round. Oh, wow. I mean, it was quite the battle. I mean, it was a strategy test to open the season up, really, TK. I mean, we saw a mixture of strats out there, those starting on the hards. It obviously paid off for those who did that. Obviously, if you managed to whisper your tyres to the front, brilliant effort by those that did. Credit to those that ran on the hards. I think out of all of them, though, I think the one driver that really shone for me was Duncan Hoffland. I think in that opening stint, I think what he did on that opening hard stint, or should I say on that opening soft stint, was stellar. Especially when the tyres started to die off for him in the first stint. It was a huge effort on his part.
Yeah, a fantastic drive from Duncan Hoffland. Those hard tyres really coming into their own in the second half of the race, of course. He just sat behind. He was patient. He waited. He played the waiting game, so to speak, and then took advantage in the second half.
He definitely did. Hopefully we'll be hearing from Lucas Blakely very shortly. We do, of course, have interviews penned in here, guys, so we'll keep you posted on that. But, yeah, talking furthermore about some of the results here. I mean, absolutely extraordinary scenes here. Brendan Lee seemingly back to his best as well, TK. I mean, I don't think I've quite seen a Brendan Lee performance. We've seen sporadic moments from Brendan Lee in the past. I would say that summed up his year last year. Moments. You would get flickers of the old Brendan Lee here, there and everywhere. This time around, it was a methodical and true performance, I'd argue. And if he can carry this on, good luck to the rest of the grid.
Absolutely correct. We've seen, like you said, sparks of brilliance from Brendan Lee. He's one of those drivers that can just get it on occasions. He can pull a fantastic race result out of the bag. And if we look forward for the rest of the season, if he can keep that consistency high, if he can keep the motivation to get every single corner correct through these Grand Prix, I think you're absolutely correct. There might be no stopping him.
Yeah, absolutely right. Lucas Blakely is incidentally in the box. Well, we're going to grab him right now. I think we just briefly cut him off from his little chat with Otis. Do apologise, Lucas.
No, you're all right.
What a return. Back in PSGL and a race victor once again. I said during the broadcast, talented musician, his father, but plucking the strings of success this time is Lucas Blakely. And that's not bad. You've had a good year. GB4 race winner, now PSGL race winner once again.
Yeah, cheers, lads. Yeah, honestly, I've not had a chance to really think. I mean, I was concentrating so much every lap that I didn't really get much of a chance to sort of process anything there. So, no, good way to obviously start the league racing. Cheers to the team for a good strategy. I was a bit annoyed with myself in qualifying for doing quite a what I felt was quite a sloppy job, but it was we made up for it in the race. I think to be honest, we were probably on the right strategy. I dare say there was a number of other drivers that would have been able to obviously fight, that sort of lead pack with like Barry and Danny in it. But I think we chose the correct strategy. We played our cards right. So yeah, on an execution front, we made the best of what we had in that race. Still plenty to improve going forward, but naturally not a bad way to kick things off on paper at least. But yeah, still lots of work ahead.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but I think you probably agree with me that opening stint was crucial. I think obviously starting on the hards, track position was definitely vital in that instance before heading into the pits, and you gave yourself a few seconds of a gap to those that are on the same strategy further back, which I think was obviously the imperative matter in all this. Would you agree with us on that first and foremost?
Yeah. Yep, 100%. I think I sort of knew in those opening couple of laps that could be quite a pivotal point of the race, because we obviously had lots of split strategies through the start of the race with softs, mediums, and then hards, and I always wanted to try and stay in touch with the cars ahead, which was actually maybe slightly harder than I expected. There was a lot of soft runners and the pace obviously took off a bit at the beginning, so just trying to settle in, and then we got that sort of free second gap to, I think it ended up being Jarno in the end, to the end of that sort of first hard stint, when I had a few scruffy laps in there which didn't make my life easy. I don't often make my life easy, but it gave us that crucial sort of couple of seconds that gave us that extra lap compared to like Brendan and Alvaro behind, which we obviously ended up as a pack coming back towards the people that were on hard for the second stint. So I think we gave ourselves that luxury from hanging in there on the first stint. We got our elbows out, wasn't messing about. We just got on with it, and we were robust, made the moves. And to be honest, I think we're on the right strategy. I mean, I'm not really. People are probably used to seeing me screaming and dancing and losing my head every 5 seconds after after a good result.
I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I've got a different approach at this point in time. For me, it's I sort of what I've really said to the team as well is like, look, whether I'm P1 by 10 seconds or 10 seconds off P1, ultimately I'm going to be looking more at like how we execute and our actual outright performance more than the result on paper. So probably why you're not seeing me jumping about the place, but I think for me my focus is obviously very much on doing well in esports on every game, so that's all what everything I do on the game really goes towards. So it's obviously this is the starting point. We've got a lot to learn. It was such a weird feeling coming into this race because I don't really think anybody had a clue where anyone was. We had really no idea. I mean, we pushed to try and make sure we weren't going to be caught out too much, and I think our outright speed was enough to be competitive and fight right at the front. Still things that we need to do better to extract it all, but all in all, happy that we executed a good race. I think it's on to the next one at Silverstone, I believe, which is going to be probably a crazy one as well.
No doubt. And I think, obviously, I want to allude to last season in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship. Obviously, I think that was a season that really hurt you in many ways, no doubt, because it was a tough one for you guys at McLaren. You had your challenges, and especially being in that LAN environment, it only amplifies those feelings in many ways. And I know after speaking with you at the very end of that season, your first word, I think, to me was done. I'm done at that point. And I mean,
you've got a better memory than me. I don't even remember.
Well, it was quite a traumatic moment, I think, in your case. But no question as to why. It was a hard season last year, but it seems now you found your groove. Does this make this game cycle all the more important, bouncing back after a season where it hasn't necessarily gone to plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think last season hurt so much because I just felt like there was so much wasted potential. I mean, we had so many races where we were taken out of contention, so many 0 scores, which just means you're automatically out of the championship fight. I mean, all the races where I got 0 points, if you finish where you're meant to finish, you're automatically in the championship fight. So last season hurt for a number of reasons, just because I felt like it was so much was taken out of our control, things that I could sit here for an hour talking about it, to be honest. But at the end of the day, yeah, it hurt because I felt like we really couldn't show really show ourselves the way we knew we were and how we operate. Because at the end of the day, I'm the exact same driver as I've always been. It's just a case of sometimes you've got things that get in the way of things. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's F1 21, 22, 23, 24, end of the day, it's a new game. It's whatever it is. I've just got to get on it, drive it as fast as I can. I've got plenty of belief in myself that I always, end of the day, no matter how bad things get, I never lose sight of exactly where I think I am as such. So yeah, it's definitely a nice way to kick things off. But I'm a couple of minutes time, I'll be debriefing the team and probably start complaining about things for 10 minutes, saying yeah, we should have done this better, or I didn't like this in the car, blah blah blah. I'm very critical. Some would say too critical, but that's how I've got to this point, I guess. That's why I wear my heart on my sleeve quite a lot, and that's why I put in the work that I do. So yeah, it's a good way to start.
Well, I'll be the first one to say, get this man some budget for real life racing. That's what I'll be saying. So make sure, if anyone's watching, any bigwigs, corporate bigwigs out there, Lucas Blakely's your man. Lucas, thank you for joining us. A fantastic start, and we wish you the best for the rest of the season.
Cheers, man, and yeah, hope everybody watching enjoyed the race, and we'll see you in a week's time. Take care, love you all. Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you very much, Lucas Blakely, ever the professional as always. And like he said, the race is not even over for him yet, TK. Back in the analysis suite, speaking to his team.
Of course, there's a big debrief that happens behind the scenes. It's all about what felt right, what felt wrong, what can we improve on next time. Of course, going to the home of Grand Prix racing, you want to get that absolutely spot on, because it's a lot of drivers' home circuits as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. And obviously, he alluded to the fact that we are going to Silverstone next. We can, of course, take another look at the calendar. Of course, we can cross off Bahrain now. Job done. Off to Britain next, August 14th. Be sure to be there. Japan follows that on August 21st, August 28th. Then we head to Jeddah. September 4th is Spa, Belgium. We then head to Mexico on September 11th. And then Austria, September 18th. September 25th is Qatar. October 2nd, Las Vegas. October 9th, we head to Texas. And then October 16th is Brazil. October 23rd, we round off the season at Abu Dhabi. But if anything like Bahrain is to behold, I'm sure we'll witness plenty more great moments. I, for one, can't wait. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come. TK, is there anyone that really caught your eye above the rest? One that you perhaps would have expected a lot more from? I think I could probably name quite a few in each column there.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about drivers that caught my eye in a good sense, you've got to talk about Brendan Lee. It was a fantastic drive from him this afternoon. Of course, almost on a bit of a redemption arc amongst himself. We know he's quick.
It's been a long arc.
But it certainly has. But you never know. As they say, every rainbow must have its pot of gold at the end, and hopefully that'll be the one for Brendan Lee this season. Yeah,
well, I can tell you the winner of the Driver of the Day vote was Lucas Blakely with 78% of the vote, so congratulations to him. Brendan Lee taking 11%, Alvaro Carreton 5%, Barry Burremand 4%. Big thank you to the 933 votes that came in. Big thank you to every single one of you at home as well. Well, Folks, what a start to a campaign. It has been one to remember, but we've got a long way to go. Plenty more action to be had. Be sure to stay tuned. We've got a lot more to bring you, of course. And if you want to check out PSGL, well, first and foremost, let's talk about the channels. Please make sure, if you've been tuned in on YouTube, to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel. If you're on Twitch, big hello to you guys as well. Be sure to leave a follow, and why not head across to the PSGL social media networks alike, at PremierSimGL on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, where you can get all the latest news, clips, videos, you name it. It's all on there for you guys to check out. If you enjoyed the commentary as well, why not check me and TK out? You can find me at George Morgan TV on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everywhere. It's all the same, guys. TK, where can they find you, sir?
I'm at everything. They call me TK. Sometimes an underscore at the front, but pretty consistent.
Yeah, TK, consistent. That's what we like. And that's what Lucas Blakely will be liking, should he be able to do the same at Silverstone. But folks, what a sensational performance on part of our Season 31 champion and former F1 Sim Racing champion. Lucas Blakely, a winner in real life, once again a winner in a virtual world. The question is, can he do it twice? We'll see you next time, folks. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Goodbye.